Ashe. Okay. I feel that already. Okay. Let's get down. Okay. So we on the mic. All right, what we're going to deal with. Like I said, that first of all, I got these new rituals for those who want to purchase them. You know, this is going for the welfare fund also, too. This is the master ritual. It says to light a candle and open the formula of the pentagram. If you don't know what the pentagram is, if you decide to get this ritual, on the back you will see this particular 7-pointed star. That's the pentagram, and they'll say the circle. Just imagine a circle. Also, it's equipped with a Kabbalah with all the different paths on it. Different paths on it also, too. And it tells you different things. Opening to reveal a cup of plenty, and it tells you different things that you need to do. A lot of the things, if you don't want to try to imagine, they'll tell you to imagine. And so basically, you can bypass a lot of this stuff because you have melanin. You just imagine what they tell you to imagine, and say what they tell you to say. And a lot of the other stuff you don't necessarily have to go through. You see what I'm saying? These rituals will work anyway because you have melanin and all. And so basically what you're supposed to do with this and the one I gave you yesterday is if you recite them over and over again until they work into your subconscious. Work into your subconscious and all. So I have these here for the people who want to purchase towards the welfare fund. You know, they're $2 and all, and it's 2 pages and all. So just let me know if you want some. If you want some and all. So whatever the deal is, you know. Going for a word of cause, going for my light bill that they're gonna cut off damn near Wednesday, so you can pass them around. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oops, damn! Get that out of here. Boom, and you pass one around to the people who want it, you know, and stuff, you know. Okay. Yeah. You need $1 back? Okay. Okay, that's cool. All right. So anybody else want one, they'll be over here on the table and all. But it's good to have these particular things because let's say if you had some problems, you can use these same rituals for your problems also too. So you know, just to conjure up energy. When anytime they're saying opening up a circle in the pentagram, hexagram, circle, anytime those us nothing but melanin, the black dot. The black dot is seen as the pentagram, the hexagram, the Star of David. All of that is talking about, they got 400 rituals talking about these different symbols, and all those symbols equate to melanin. You see, equate to melanin and all. So, you know, all those equate to melanin. So there's no such thing as it not being a melanin ritual. And all. So, how many? You know, there's no such thing as 2 or 3. You got 2 or 3, yeah. There's no such thing as it not being a melanin ritual. Those particular, what you need? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wait a minute, hold up. I gave you. Oh, you 3. Hell, I'm giving you the 5 back. Plus, how much is that? 3 or 4? Oh, hell. I'm giving a change plus the damn 5. You want the one from yesterday? The one from yesterday is 2, so boom, do that. Hold on 1 minute. For those ones, remember, I still have that particular melanin one. Also, you use these things without this one. This one, I would say, if you ask what was this one for, I would say that this one would be for protection as well as energy. Because when you do this and stuff, basically, you're conjuring up your own energy. So it's not no spook thing like you're trying to invoke some certain ones. You're conjuring up your own energy. One is for, you know, and so when you do these and all, remember this is inner working, and you can take these same kind of rituals, conjure up the energy, and do what you will based on you have the energy base. So it's basically just igniting the battery. And the battery, you know, is 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, carbon. And if you break open any battery, you will see the battery is carbon based. It's carbon based. So this is what these rituals are for and all. You know, for protection. You'll be able to use these also for that particular thing too, as well as your energy, as well as healing. Let's say that the one that I say here called the master ritual, let's say if you wanted to heal yourself. If you went through that particular ritual, you can direct the type of energy that you conjure up to what part of the body that you needed healing. So in actuality, the ritual is only inducing the latent powers that's in your body that can heal anything anyway, including AIDS. You see what I'm saying? So basically, this is just a exercise to get those certain energies to working, as well as the one to controlling the shadow, which that one and all is dealing with more of a psychological thing. Let's say if you wanted to a psychological thing. Let's say if you wanted to actually meet your higher self or something like that. There's a good book out called you got your Maat Magick book here? Yeah, because there's a woman in the front. You need to go get it because there's a woman in the front got a book called Visual Magic.
Oh, okay.
And and when you get it, I'll show you the one and all. You might want to order that book, Visual Magic. But the people that want scientific information on melanin, as far as melanin dealing with psychic phenomenon, there's a great book out. There's a great book out on the scientific ramification, but it's a very technical book. So it's one of those books that, it's technical, but then again, it's a great study and all, and it's called very technical. And the name of this book is called Shadow Matter and the Psychic Phenomenon, a scientific investigation into psychic phenomenon and possible life after death. Shadow matter. Anytime you see shadow like that, shadow matter is melanin. So they're going to say everything but melanin. So the book is called Shadow Matter and Psychic Phenomenon, the scientific investigations into the psychic phenomenon and possible life after death by Jared D. Wasserman, Wassermann, PhD. The woman named that wrote Visual Magic, the woman who wrote Visual Magic is called Jan Fries. Let's see, I think I also found it in here. Her name is Jan, Janfries. But it's called ES', Jan Fries, Visual Magic, a manual of freestyle shamanism, sigilalism, because I told you there was a book, Practical Sigil Magic, that went out of print. But this one has sigilalism, subtle, and all of those inspired by figures such as Austin Spear, Aleister Crowley, and imperative to develop one own unique magical way. So what it is, this particular book is just it's going to give you every aspect on how you visualize things, how you go inside and work. Because some people say, well, when I meditate, I need something to do. I need something to think about when I have my eyes closed. Well, this particular book is a good little book to help you on visual magic, which is this Nema's counterpart, because she recognizes her in the front of the book. And this particular book is a very excellent book, Maat Magick also too, Guide for Self-Initiation. Well, the second book is Visual Magic. Visual Magic by and they show the different, and you visualize different people in the fairy kingdom and different things like that, because they have a fairy kingdom. They have little small people that live in the trees in Africa. You see what I'm saying? Just like live in the trees in Africa. And so visual magic, when you can visualize, because some people, I think a lot of people now are saying, well, I have a lack of vision. If I can visualize it, so if you learn how to visualize things, like they tell you, you can, until you learn to see yourself a certain way and see yourself having a certain thing, you see what I'm saying? And that's the reason why white people are able to gain more success in their life, is because, first of all, the white man is not born with an inferiority complex because he sees his images all over TV. So it's healthy for him. So therefore, and they have open minds for the simple fact that they have open minds for the simple fact for their children. Their people take them hunting, camping, this particular place, so they see the world at a certain age. So if you have these things that's not impairing you to, for your vision, then therefore if you think of a damn multi-billion-dollar business, you get a multi-billion-dollar business. You see what I'm saying? And until you see yourself, and it's just the same thing when it came to losing weight. Until you see yourself skinny, you can't lose no weight. And that's one of the main things even in the 12-step programs. You have to see yourself. And also they say, go to the Essence magazine, Pick out the finest woman you want, paste her on the goddamn refrigerator, paste her on the kitchen, on the bathroom sink, paste her on the bedroom sink, and visualize yourself. And one of the actual programs in doing that and visualizing yourself, hell, take a picture, cut your face out, and put on the fine ass body you want. And your psyche and your subconscious, once you work it into your subconscious and stuff, you can lose that type of weight. Most people, if you know, that gain a lot of weight, have low self-esteem. You see what I'm saying? And all, as far as being obese. Some people are obese for the simple fact, you know, and they've had people that grew up petite. And then somehow they lost their way based on a relationship, and they lost their will based on a man, and they gained all this weight. There's cases, like I said before, with women gaining weight because they didn't want to attract attention to them because the simple fact they was hurt about a man they lost, and they say, well, I give up on niggas. But they kind of look kind of good, and they know if they go out in the street, so a nigga will crack on your behind if, you know, he like your booty and all that. So what they do is, to avoid the black man pulling up on the sister, they gain a whole lot of weight to get themselves out of the doggone playing field of dating and stuff. So it's the same way you can reverse that type of thing by your visual image and all and stuff. So the book Jane Fry's Visual Magic is the first book, which is another book that comes from England. It's coming from Mandrake, Oxford, P.O. Box 250, Oxford. But the name of the actual book company that puts out Visual Magic is called, if you want to get it, Golden Dawn Publications, P.O. Box 250, Oxford, OX1, 1AP, Britain, OX1 and 1AP, Britain. And they have Visual Magic out, which is supposed to be a very good book. It's the same people that also put out Shadow Matter and the Psychic Phenomenon. Shadow Matter and the Psychic Phenomenon. So now if you're having problems getting metaphysical books, I suggest that you form an alliance. Take, for instance, you can say like Sister Delilah. You go down and you go to New Leaf Book Distributor is the biggest metaphysical book company in the country. New Leaf Books distributing in Atlanta, Georgia. That's why I have no problem. I got 9 metaphysical bookstores to go to. Then you, in competition, Barnes and Nobles and all them have to have a big stock because the actual metaphysical book company, the place that the distributor is in Atlanta, and they started out in a room about as big as this house, and now they got a place. It's a warehouse that is big as a doggone football field, full of metaphysical books. So I'm gonna say that you can take one person like you and the Sisters of Sekhmet can say, well, you know, we want to order books because you have to be a company. In a company, just establishing yourself as a company, and the whole thing is you just have to agree to buy $50 worth of books at a time. But that ain't nothing but 2 or 3 books. So therefore, you get the books on wholesale, but the catalog is tremendous. Is the amount of things also too tremendous, and so all you got to do is, instead of calling the bookstore, somebody just call Delilah up and say, hey, get me this book. You see what I'm saying? You got to come, you get me this book, and they give you and get me the book, and all, and they can bring you the money by, and you can order the book wholesale, and to make a buck or two out of it, you know, it's a labor of love. You know what I'm saying? You know, they still will be paying 3 times less than what they pay in the store. You see what I'm saying? In the store and all. So these particular books are also available at New Leaf Book Distributing. Jane Fry's Visual Magic, as well as Shadow Matter and the Psychic Phenomenon. Now I'll have to call you and give it to you and all, and you got to send off for a catalog and all. You know, send off for a catalog and all. And this is a very good book. I say also to get. Here's another good book called Flying Saucers by Francis Barrett. Flying Saucers, Francis Barrett, and by Francis King, includes Barrett's publication manuscript on the crystal vision. So what we know is we understand that you have to take all information with a grain of salt, because you know the white boy is going to tell the truth, but then again he's going to add his own truth. But basically your spirit can tell you what's right or wrong, for the simple fact that most people have an Afrocentric training and understand that everything came out of Africa, which is your key. So when they start talking about all this stuff about Britain and the Anglo-Saxon and China and all that shit, you know that that's bull jive, because you know that everything came from black. There's no original thought on the planet other than yours. That's the key. No original, and that's what we're going to prove today also when we get into this particular stuff. And basically everything that is going on here has been left. Everything that has been going on here has been left behind by the Moors. Left behind by the Moors. Like I said before, and it's hello. We just starting, so you good to go. You want to turn that TV around so they can see or whatever, if they want to. Like I said before, like I said before, your light bill is not a police company. Your phone bill is a police company. Water bill, and any type of thing that you got to go pay a bill, your bills is not a police. It is very important that the government has to keep track on you now, because they know that they're losing this fight, and the end is near for them. Like I said before, I must say that one of the greatest books that's been printed in the 1990s is the book of Maat. This particular book on Maat. This is an awesome book because it deals with the creative visualization, and I love what the sister did because she painted everything black in here. But this book here is an unbelievable book. It has rituals and every other thing in here, but this is a great book, and if you notice, it's not that complicated. It's real simple, and it's one of the best books. This is one of the best books. Maat Magick by Nema, which is back with Amen. Nema is a group of Nema is a form is a part of the the Cincinnati Black Lodge or something like that, of Cincinnati. Anyway, so she's affiliated with a Crawley group. Because there's a lot of bull jive out there, and you got to get the stuff that is affiliated with they go in. Try to stay on most Egyptian themes and themes that are basically related to ancient history. Good books on Sufism, the way of the Sufi. Another good book to understand, a good book is People of the Secret. Very excellent book, People of the Secret, Ernest Scott. He's going to give out a lot of books today. People of the Secret, Ernest Scott. Well, you can get it in Atlanta. People of the Secret, Ernest Scott. It's an advanced and a very scholarly book. And this is, you want to get a book that's very scholarly. Why? Because you can use it as an encyclopedia. You could always go back to it and find a certain amount of things also too. Another that book, Isis by D. Tracy Regulia, Isis, Her Worship and Magic. The Isis Mistress, Her Worship and Magic. And finally, after so many years, after writing on Osiris and different things, somebody finally put out a book on Isis. There was another historical book called Isis in the Greco-Roman World, which you probably have to go to a library and copy, which is out of print. But the one that they finally put out with all the rituals and stuff, and we need to. I can't stress the importance of listen. These things are now starting to disappear. Now, the guy down in Atlanta, Georgia, the guy that runs Avalon Bookstore, has already said that, look, that in about a year or so, or maybe the first of the year, a lot of these books are going to have to start going out of business because of the internet, because they're downloading all this stuff on the internet because it's for free. So now they can download the stuff on the internet, and you can say, well, I can get it for free, but remember, websites close down because it costs money to keep them on. So if they download some stuff on the internet and the book is taken off the market because it's not selling, and that website closed down, that means that you're not going to be able to get this book. And by us being the elect at this time, because our people ain't going to do it, we the fuck going to do it. And that means you got to have ammunition. And that's what even what's his name used to talk about the ammunition? Leonard Jeffries. We shooting from the lip and not the hip. Because they say what? If you read the book of Revelation, they say that Christ who is to come, who is in all of us, he's going to come with the word of God from his mouth like a double-edged sword. That means that when you speak it, and the energy going to get so bad in a few until you can speak stuff. And if a person don't have the right melanin, they'll drop dead. So in order to speak it, you got to start. So you shooting lip from the lip and not the hip. So therefore, you can't be cheap when it comes to buying the books. You can buy them damn concert tickets. You can buy this. You can anything that you want. You can find time to buy it and all. But when it comes to buying a book, the nigga act like they buying a damn house. You see what I'm saying? Buy the books. And so you got to realize this part about it. At one time, they didn't have, see, things that go down in history of spiritual. One time, it was against the law for us to read. Now, we got tons of black people who can't read. And then you got some that can't read, that can read, but they can't understand. So the least you can do for them, you see what I'm saying, is to try to get this particular stuff and understand. So I can say, well, you buying all these books, you buying all these books. Look, this is the deal. If you don't like reading, the key is to buy as many books as you can to build a library, and the more books you have, the less you have to read. Because it becomes a library, and you can just go into your library and pick out what you want to study, a page or two or a paragraph. You see what I'm saying? And you don't have to hit the whole books, but when you got one or two books, you got to read the whole thing, because that's all you got to rely on. So some people say, why you buy all them books? I say, because I'm not going to read all the doggone books. I'd go blind and go crazy. But the key is to have a sufficient library where you don't have to read a lot. If you got a library and stuff that's got a comprehensive library, you just go and say, well, I want to look up this type thing. Well, you just go here. You see what I'm saying? And we got to stop being scared. Books on witchcraft is nothing but leftover stuff from ISIS worship that was in Europe. You see them? That was in Europe. You see what I'm saying? And they say they killed damn near 12 million of them people over there worshiping with the witchcraft and all this type of stuff. 12 million people died in the Inquisition and the Holy Inquisition of the Holy Pope of Rome. You see, Book of Shadows. And there's another book I put out by Samuel Weiser. It's called The Trial of a Salem Witch. And on the book, they got a black woman up there. And they say that a lot of the killings started in Salem, in Massachusetts and stuff, based on a doggone slave girl. You see what I'm saying? Based on a slave girl. And there's a book out called The Trial of a Salem Witch, and they got a sister sitting up there. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying, and all them witch comes from Wicca, which means wise one. It comes from the word witch, comes from the word vitch, which is a Sumerian word. It comes from the Egyptian word bitch, which means dog star. Priestess of the dog star. Priestess of Isis. Priestess of Isis. You see what I'm saying? So we need to take advantage of these type of things, because ain't nobody coming for you. You are coming to yourself. And in order to come to yourself, you got to have a knowledge and understanding. You can worship, pray, all the hell you want him, but until you realize you God, you understand what I'm saying? And you got to realize, it's not no damn brothers and sisters over here in the projects depending on you. The whole entire black race is depending on us. That's an awesome responsibility, but it don't take, hell, even the Bible tells you it don't take but one man. Well, the whole entire race is depending on us to get this divine spark. They talk about the remnant, which is the 144,000 is a symbolic number. It's less than 144,000. Hell, it's less than 20,000. It's less than 10,000. It's less than 5,000 on who really know what time it is. It's less than 1% of the conscious on the planet. So therefore, if you are here at this dispensation time when all hell is going down, that means of how important you are. And so what it is we have to stress the belief in self. That's why I say the never-ending story is a very good story to understand the belief in self. You see what I'm saying? Not I just want to do God's will. Well, what the fuck is that? God's will is your damn will. They say man is the highest expression of God. Man is the highest expression of God. So they say God is a cosmic energy, but it expresses itself through you. You are the expression. There's gasoline, but you are the doggone vehicle. You see what I'm saying? So you got to turn this thing around and all, because we've been worshiping outside of ourselves too long. You see what I'm saying? Just as the Bible says, you see, the Bible says, greater works I have done, greater works you shall do. Even greater works you shall do. You're going to do greater works. And so even if we just take the Bible thing, even like Farrakhan said, even if we take of a Jesus Christ coming 2,000 years ago. Whatever the case, whether it's mythical or whatever, it was only a sign or just an inkling or a fragment of what is going to come in the end. He was only a sign if you believe in that, but even if you believe in the movement, he was only a sign of that which is to come later on. You see what I'm saying? And that's the key. We got to start doing this because ain't nobody coming but us. And they say, well, when the people, they say, well, Christ comes, and everybody's waiting on Christ. But when Christ first comes, he has to redeem himself. And once he finds himself, then he can find others. So until we find ourselves, you saying, I'm tired of this shit. Well, don't be tired of this shit looking for no spirit to come down. The spirit has to come through you. You divine spark. And that's what the deal is. Check. Yeah. All right. The reason why the world must end is because black people still forgive white people over and over. This is why the white man is assured to kill more and more people because they know that we are crazy and we will forgive them over and over. So they know that give a week or two, the niggas gonna forget about it. You see what I'm saying? So not only do you have to understand that you can't forgive these people at all, this has got to be a part of your moral fiber. Some people say, well, let's get past white people. No. If you look at any religious scripture, you have to overcome the dragon, the beast, the enemy, or whatever. That's any religious scripture. You have never seen any portrayal of the Christ saying, no, I'm just going to forget the powers that be. You see what I'm saying? The role of Christ is he's supposed to challenge evil. In Gene Houston's book, The Passions of Isis and Osiris, in the part on the War on Heaven, they said, that, which is an excellent book. It's a thick hardback book. And see, this book, he gets into the love story of Osiris between Isis. You see what I'm saying? So for you sisters, for the mere that fact, if you're going to read some goddamn Terry McMillan, read the original love story of Isis and Osiris on what this woman had to go through just to lift this motherfucker up after he got slayed. And basically that's what's going on. And basically it's a storytelling on what's going on with the damn black woman now. She got to carry the burden and all for that nigga out there with that damn Colt 45 in his damn hand. So the story is metaphysical, but you can't read the story as a historical story. You got to read the story. Now, so they say the passion of Isis and Osiris. You see what I'm saying? And in the book, when they go into War in Heaven, they say Horus, Heru, which is the Christ, which is you, is the only one got the guts to challenge Adar Labra, or Set in that particular form, the second Set. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, when you read it, you think, oh yeah, oh man, she sure did love this man here and all this man laying out and stuff, and she had to breathe life back in him. This shit ain't about no man 2,000 years ago. This thing is happening from the black person after slavery, from the black woman after slavery, where she had to be the burden of every damn thing because the nigga couldn't even get no job. You see what I'm saying? Hell, he had to couldn't even look the white man in the eye. So that is chopping off a penis and castrating somebody mentally. You see what I'm saying? So the sister got to take care of the burden and all this kind of thing here and all. And so the story is not talking about... See, we'll say, well, damn, why a black woman got to go through all this shit? Or even the black man in this case, but you would have a better understanding on why you have to go through this stuff if you understood that the story that they're talking about of the eternal widow ain't getting no man sexually frustrated and all that kind of thing is Isis and Osiris. That's talking about you. You see what I'm saying? That's talking about you. So now we forgive these people over and over again, and then so even when we get even in the high intellectual thing, and we think somehow somebody has taught us that to be more spiritual means that you don't supposed to focus on the enemy. I don't know no spiritual figure that ever been on no papyrus, book, or anything that didn't challenge the damn enemy or went up against the damn dragon. We're not talking about 1930. We're talking about the apocalypse. And in the apocalypse, it's time to kick ass. Now, she gave the... so what's happening is that you got to realize this. And part of kicking ass is mentally arming yourself. Not talking about how you can go out and get some guns. It's talking about mentally. So it means on your job, you got to be on guard. You see what I'm saying? You got to be on guard. Because not only that, they got doggone defectors in our race coming to their side and stuff. So you got to be on guard all ever so more. And so when the sister did a channel last night and stuff, when we was able to open up a sister, and the sister is smoking and channeling like channeling like the sister Ty Seeley and the other ones I told you about, Shakura. She's every bit as good, and she's a sister. But she was channeling all. They said, well, listen. They said, I said, in the book of law, what is the actual part of the book of law? It's the key that I need. And she said, verse 6, chapter 3. Now, verse 6, chapter 3, for those people who know what the book of law is, verse 6, chapter 3, and the book of law is printed in verse 6, chapter 3, it states, get this right, it states, let me get this, verse 6, chapter 3, dung it says, first of all, on verse 4, it says, choose an island, fortify it. The island is your body. Fortify it. Well, hell, it's fortified with the melanin. It means, you know, fortify it. Talking about vitamins, and fortifying means coming together, all the energy. Fortify it. Dung it about with the energy of war. So you got the energy. So what is the energy supposed to be about? Nation building or war? No, it tells you to dung it with the energy of war. I will give you a war engine. What is the war engine? That's your body. So you got to understand, if you got to understand there's peacetime and wartime. And now if we talk about if we this far into the apocalypse, and obviously you see the crackers winning this shit, killing us daily. If we this far in, then it means you got to realize you can't act in peacetime as we come to wartime. There's different cycles in what you're supposed to do. So to say, you know, well, let's forget about white people, you shirking your damn duties. It's time to go to war, and a lot of that war is mentally. Spiritually, your essence, if you bring your essence to a certain level, they're telling you in here to do these things, fortify your body, and they say dung it about with the energy of the war. That means you start thinking on the warrior level. That means spiritually, you don't have to pick up no gun. So if you do this stuff and get your body up to the warrior part that you're supposed to be doing at this particular time, then basically you can kill them off just on your aura and your essence on what you're about. It's no different. It's the same thing about and I don't know if it's lost from the black woman, but I know when I was growing up and all, my mama didn't have to damn get a stick every damn time. I was cutting up out there. All she got to do is give me a step. I said, oh, shit. Just give me a look. You know the damn look. That's worse than a damn beat. Because you say, well, I don't know whether she's going to beat my ass now or when I get back home she's going to beat me. In anticipation of an ass whipping is worse than the ass whipping itself. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? You see. Yeah. Right. So that's what I'm trying to say. So when this thing is talking about here, when you're saying, well, when we supposed to do this, it's talking about your mental essence on getting your body right based on the way you feel about certain things. You see what I'm saying? So this is what it's talking about. It's talking about a mental essence. You got to understand, it's been wartime. It's been wartime. Well, the cracker came on TV and told you 10 years ago he put crack in your damn community. So it's been wartime. Hell, we 10 years behind time. Still talking about, can we get along and let's vote? So, you know, I think we would also get a mental, I think we would also be a stable, even if we just had a campaign to just stringing up these damn Negro leaders that sold us out. And just seeing some of them die for a change. And just like they say, these people can come on and represent us and will buck dance in our face and talk shit about us on national TV because they realize there ain't no repercussions coming behind them. But if they was in the Arab community, their ass would be dead. You see, their ass would be dead. And I'm not talking about no Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about there in damn Palestine. You see what I'm saying? Where they got ongoing war going on. Like I said, I had a friend that was from doggone Palestine. He was from Israel. The Gaza Strip or whatever that was. And he said, if we even see our woman with a doggone Israeli, we cut both of them up. People say, oh, man, you just sick and all. But I say, no, this man here, these people done came in and took over their land, although that original land ain't theirs either. But still, they got more claim to it than them, because, hell, they close to the black than what you call it. Because some of them people in their race go all the way down to blue-black when you look at it and stuff. But what I'm trying to say is, especially no white Arab from Europe, we don't know where that, no white Jew from Europe. So they say, you know, hell, we don't play that. You just don't do that. You see, it ain't no stuff like that. And the doggone Israelis don't go for that shit either. You see, same thing. So, you see what I'm saying? No mixing of the nation. We should never mix. I see in the Gnostic scriptures told you yesterday, when Thomas asked Jesus, should we be with our own? And he says, indeed. You see. So there's certain energy fields that certainly, so some people are saying, you know, well, I'm like there was a brother came to one of my lectures and say, I'm a police officer. And I said, what? He said, but I'm cool. And basically in his mind, he probably was, but he don't realize there's certain energy fields. And if you are in that particular energy field, and that thing is constantly locking up black people, the negative energy field, it's just as bad as damn being that cracker cop. So there's certain energy fields and stuff. You see what I'm saying? So now it gets to the point where some people say, well, you know, I'm getting this particular consciousness, but I think I still go to church. Now you know the church is a ward of the state of the government, and you know there's some negative energy fields. That church is run by a dollar bra, and so by going to them doggone churches and stuff, it's just the same as the church. You talking about the same tradition that went around the world and colonized the world, talking about bringing down Jesus to the savage. It's the same. So you got energy fields that you don't supposed to be in. And another thing too, the reason why a lot of our people get walked in from these walk-ins, because we concluded that that's a dollar bra church, organized religion is basically what it's talking about. And so when you go in there and you clap it and open yourself up, the archons can come in and walk into you. So when we say, well, why is there a lot of sisters being walked in? Because there's more sisters in the church. All right. And so they literally go and open their vessels up to this particular archon that sits over fundamental religion. You see what I'm saying? It sits over fundamental religion. So when they come out of there, it's like a walking zombie. And that's one of the doggone fields. You can see it. That's one of the fields. And that's one of the places. So that's how they snatching our doggone sisters and stuff for the simple fact. And not only that, some of the brothers. You see what I'm saying? But they snatching them for the simple fact when you go in that church and you because all it is a ceremony, is a damn ritual. And when you do it, you open up anyway because you melanated people. So the archons come in and say, well, if we can't get the masses, we damn sure can get a church on every corner, which is the fucking masses, basically. See what I'm saying? So this is how they do this. So there's certain energy fields. And the energy fields, these particular energy fields that we're talking about here, is crucial that you don't overstep your boundaries. So it's like I said, when you learn a certain amount of knowledge and stuff, ain't no sense of saying, well, you know, I'm going to still go back here for the social element. What the hell you need social element? You goddamn knowledge. You got to step off and stuff. So the thing about it is, when they're saying your sincerity is your credentials, it literally means that based on your well-being. Based on your well-being and stuff. So basically, I haven't put my foot back in the church since I got into this particular consciousness. Last time I went to a church, I went to 2 funerals. You know what I'm saying? And the only time I go to a doggone church. Well, other than that, no. Somebody said, come on and go to church with me. Well, no, I don't give a damn how good a friend you are. I don't give a damn you my girlfriend, mama, none of that stuff and stuff. We got other kind of things that we can doggone have a solidarity as the meetings of between 2 families and going up in that damn church. So if the people say, no, well, I don't need that kind of person in my life anyway, they don't understand. A fool is a fool, both good and bad. They're one and the same. That's what the whatchamacallit says. So basically, this is what we're talking about. The energy fields. The energy fields is there's energy fields going on. So if we talk about melanin, and there is no such thing as a physical body, it's an illusion. So all melanin is one. So for all the white people in the world is hating O.J., despite whether he did it or not, don't make a difference. All the white people is hating O.J. Simpson, and just like them hating you. And so therefore they're being chastised because we're talking about hating energy. So they hate the particular energy. And the reason why they hate him so much is because he's black. I can say Timothy McVeigh and them blew up a damn building. And even though We know they didn't do it. The masses of America don't know that because they follow the TV. They don't hate this man, and he killed 140-something people, supposedly. We know he didn't do it, but still yet, they don't know that. But they hate O.J. Simpson. You see what I'm saying? And the key is basically, like we said, Cato Kalin was in on it, and also I had figured out, and I figured out that last year, but we got verification on it last night also too, that they cloned another O.J., and the clone was in on killing O.J. too. So the reason why them white people were so, them police officers were so hurt the day that the verdict came down, and all them police officers, LAPD, was back there crying because they knew what went down because they planned it and they had the clone out there with us. So we talk about a highly advanced government. Well, wait a minute, that's kind of some hocus pocus stuff. If this is the damn end days, and even the Bible tells you that you won't even know the world, it's going to be things, they say that the knowledge will increase, and there are going to be things that's going to be so horrific. So therefore, cloning and every other thing is a doggone, if this is the end time, then cloning and everything else is a reality, like cryonics, freezing people. Well, I knew that because my aunt, my Aunt Mabel, that died at 90, when she was working for white people back in the 20s and 30s, she said she was raising these kids, and the two little white boys had turtles, and the turtles at night, the turtles used to freeze up, rock solid, hard. They'd leave them outside. And that day, about 4 o'clock, they would unthaw and they start back moving. So if they can do that, you know a human can do it. So this stuff is a reality. If she said this observation, just by saying that when these little white kids she used to keep back in the damn 30s, they had these turtles, and the turtles used to freeze up like glass, and then about 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, they would unthaw. And they would do this year after year. So the whole winter season, they would freeze up at nighttime. You see what I'm saying? So cryonics is a reality. Is a reality. So now, shoot, cut off the tape for 1 minute. I'm gonna have to go in there. I've been drunk 3 cups. If we have to even go to England, to that florist press, and tell them to order 10 copies of that book if they can't get it in America. Tell England to somehow call the damn book company and ask them to order 10 copies of that Emil Bach's Apocalypse, which is one of the best ones, the Apocalypse of St. John's, which is the best book ever written on Revelation, because he was a Rudolf Steiner follower also too, and he goes so much. Oh yeah, and he goes as much as I'm saying that the Mary and Jesus thing is cross culture and all, and he recognized Mary and Jesus as the same as Isis and Heru, or Isis and Horus. Huh? It's not on? Or is it still recording?
You got the mic on?
Is
you got the mic on? I think you got to change the bedroom.
Oh, okay.
That's not
Is it on there? I mean, mine has been on, but I'm saying, you know, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Well, you got it cut off yet? Where's Noah? What I'm saying is, you got to... Is it... Okay, you change the battery. You got that on, though? Like I said, if you're going to... It's imperative that you try to get that book, Apocalypse of St. John's, by Emil Bach, B-O-C-K. If you just call around, I'm quite sure you can get some people to order it. Florist Press out of London, England. Yes, they should. I'll call. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll call when I get home Tuesday. I will call New Leaf and see if they have it. I'll see if they have it and all, and see can you get it and all, and we'll deal with that type of thing. Now another thing is also we realize that in actuality that the Greeks couldn't have been black, the original Greeks, because the Greek language is such a great language, as well as the Latin language. Until how can a white man who couldn't even speak from the caves and moaning and groaning, create a Greek language? Create a Greek language. Did you tape on? Mm-hmm. And all. So basically, we found out, and all. Even A&E did it. Even though they didn't let people know, the original Greeks was the Etruscans. Now these Etruscans, they said, had a civilization that the women was equal to the men. So you know damn well, first of all, that couldn't have been nothing but a black person. You see what I'm saying? It couldn't have been the beast. Number two, they showed them they had that when they said, then they'll say lies like, well, these are the Etruscans. Now, first of all, they say the Etruscans is the earlier form of the Greek, and they said, but they had no known writing. But they showed the tombs of this elaborate artwork, and it had the same red tone as the Egyptians. So what this meant was that the Greek language was the form of writing that they had, as well as the Latin language. So when they say that they have no earlier forms of writing, if they went in there and they saw the Greek shit there, then they'll say, well, hey, these are the original Greeks. And that means that white people wouldn't be counted with a civilization at all, an ancient civilization. So they had to, so the Etruscans was these group of people that was killed off later on by the white Romans and the white Greeks. You see what I'm saying? So it's that same thing, just like the American Indians. You see, and so these Etruscans and all were the original black Greeks and black Romans. You see what I'm saying? And they were killed off later on by the culture that came in and took the language. You see what I'm saying? But Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, and all of those were Etruscans. They were black people. Because they said no white man ever entered the mystery system, despite what the basic Afrocentric scholars was doing, because they was taking the white man word on this particular thing. You see what I'm saying? They had a civilization, although it was a small civilization, it was just like Egypt. You see what I'm saying? It was just like Egypt at that particular time. You see, as we know, based on Hakim Bey, said to hell the Greeks, they didn't even have white statues until the 19th century. Oh no, yeah, the 19th century, the 1800s, where they went in and had a Renaissance period, and knocked out all the black statues and built white statues to try to fabricate a history that they didn't have, because they wanted to try to put themselves as an ancient people. You see what I'm saying? Although they were in ancient times when they took over, but they weren't the inventors and the creators of the actual civilization, and that's the difference. You see, that's the difference. The hostage takeover in Iran was a government project. You remember the Iranian thing? It was a government project because the Arabs at that particular time, they wanted to establish a new enemy, because they knew that the walls were going to be coming down in Germany and Russia and that whole 9 yards. So they had to establish a new enemy. So they started 10 years earlier with the Arab takeover, the hostage takeover, and ever since the doggone Iran, the Arabs have become the world terrorists based on Saddam Hussein and all of that type of thing. So all of that was actually basically a government plan. You see, they always need a boogeyman. They always need an enemy. They always need an enemy. Plus, you know, they're trying to fake this false Christ by coming from the east. So to try to somehow coincide with Nostradamus talking about this particular person coming from the east, they basically tried to make it this Arab. Nostradamus misconstrued it because it says a person from the east, and that particular person from the east that they're talking about is Heru, the Christ energy that was in the east from Egypt, from one Sphinx, is coming to the west. So there's actually talking about the flow of black people coming through the Middle Passage. And it might have looked like it was a Antichrist or terror, a king of terror. He's a king of terror based on it's a king of terror on their behind. You see what I'm saying? Based on he's a king of terror on their behind. So this was the whole thing, and they started it and set it all up in 1980. From 1980, so we cool? Yeah, they started and set it up from 1980 with this whole hostage takeover and all. You see, the problem is the reason why we can't really hope, and, we still got black people, even in consciousness, hoping that somehow we can get back on top of the world in the physical. But the problem is just like this. That once the people lose their spiritual connection and their basic survival mechanisms is wiped out totally, you're talking about a people that can never actually gain it back. Not unless they go like the white man and kill everybody in the world and steal it, but that's not our nature anyway. So therefore it means in actuality it's not meant to gain back on this level, it is to go to the next level because we have outdone this level. You see what I'm saying? We've outdone this particular level. And so this is a key that everybody's doing right now, whereas even when people come and all, and it's one thing we're doing when it comes to some metaphysical things, people say, well, I want to know how I can access this and access that so they can somehow have power like a Superman on the physical. Your accessing of some things is you got to realize your whole race is dependent on you, and by your race depending on you, in order to get them out, this is not a selfish thing on how you can have more power than anybody. Your race is dependent on you to redeem them, and the redeemer or the redemption of those particular people is going by you ending this damn thing and ending this cruel world. So now you got a lot of people that's trying to tap into their melanin powers, for the simple fact that they want to have certain amount of powers to go along in the physical, like there's some kind of Superman walking around having power over everybody. And that's not what it is. This is the redeeming to go to the metamorphosis and the next stage. You see what I'm saying? The old jail trial, welfare, affirmative action, crack, gangs are all smoke screens and all to smoke screens to get you away from what's going on when it comes to this particular body snatching, as far as the King Alpha Clan and these concentration camps. All smoke screens. And you see, and the smoke screens are not to let you know, to not let you realize that the King Alpha Clan has been in effect. So the black race is the only race that have a wide color of the spectrum, and basically we got every color in the spectrum of what our people look like as far as our depiction, as far as from the blackest of the black until we even got them damn near white, and you got to look hard. But that lets you know that we got to be crazy when mugs go and get a damn white woman. Well, hell, where you going to get a white woman for? We got enough sisters that look damn near half white. Why not get one of them? You see, that lets you know that this is a sick mentality that they actually have at this particular time, and all. So we just warming up, doing some hard copy. By 1975, the protest had started going out of black music. So you had the protest music, Money, 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 and all the OJs and different things and stuff that happened in the early 60s. By 1975, the protest started going out, and they started disco. And mind you me that this would happen after the ascension of Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1975. Now remember, your entire, what's the name of the group? The Jehovah's Witness, who was just as big as the Catholic Church at one time, was broke after 1975, because after 1975 they had said for 70 years that the world would end in 1975. So after the world ended in 1975, they never could bounce back, and they never were the same after that. Never were the same after that. It was the same year, you see what I'm saying? It was the same year, and then talking about the Jehovah's Witness and stuff, there's a good book you need to get called The Eve of Destruction. The Eve of Destruction by Eva Shaw. Eve of Destruction by Eva Shaw. You can find it at Barnes and Noble's, Borders, and even stores like B. Dalton's and all of those particular ones have it also. Eve of Destruction. And what she did is, it's another type of book where she went and took a lot of prophecies around the world, those that didn't work and those who did work. Very good book. But one of the best books ever written on prophecy, where you have every prophecy damn near recorded in the world, is a little small book called A.T. Mann's book, Millennium Prophecies 2000, which is a valuable book and a must-read. A.T. Mann, M-A-N-N, Millennium Prophecies 2000. It was a bigger, thicker book from England, but then they condensed it and put it in a smaller version of the book with the same amount of pages. And in that particular, we even have a timeline of certain events that went on at certain time from a couple of thousand years on up until now. 18-man Millennium Prophecies. But another good book is the Eva Shaw book. And she goes through the different groups like Elizabeth Clare Prophets group, as well as other groups that actually had also dealt with certain prophecies. She also deals with the Lababa witches and their prophecy based on the Jupiter effect, the thing that happened in 1994 on July 16th of 1994 when it's supposed to be this comet hit Jupiter and different things and all. So those are also some good books also too. So they're going on along with it. Like I said before, the Million Man March was nothing but a great government registration program. You see what I'm saying? A great registration program. Also remind you, those people, that you still need to go and pick up the movie Warlock 1 and Warlock 2. Very good movie also. Another Christ movie is Willow. Willow, talking about the Christ child. Willow. You see what I'm saying? A real Christ movie. For those people that are still scared of the devil, moving right along, you need to get Jeffrey Burton Russell's book. Jeffrey Burton Russell's book, The Devil. Jeffrey Burton Russell's book on the devil, and it shows you how the horns from the devil came from Hathor, and also Ra, and the Greek god Pan, in which they took this thing from. So Jeffrey Burton Russell's book, he has one on the Antichrist, but the one you want to get is the devil and the devil's role through later and throughout antiquity. But it's a black book with red writing, the devil. Jeffrey Burton Russell is his particular name. Jeffrey Burton Russell. Also, to find out that the devil means double, doppelganger, which is talking about dual self or double, you understand that that's also talking about melanin. A good chapter on the devil actually being the shadow. You see, seeing your shadow or the spook and all this type of thing, and based on the melanin is to get the book from Gerald Massey's lectures. Gerald Massey's lectures. There's a chapter called Devil of Darkness in the Light of Evolution or something like that. And in Gerald Massey's lectures, he literally showed it that the devil was just the first aspect of the black man when he first saw his shadow, or it's actually talking metaphysical. The double self, dual one. The dual one and all. You see, also to understand some other good things on the devil, to understand, to get you out of this spookism, you need to get, which is a must-read, you need to get this just for library purposes anyway. Everybody should have a copy of Blavatsky's Secret Doctrines. ISIS Unveiled and Secret Doctrine, but at least get the Secret Doctrines. There's a whole chapter in there called, there's a whole chapter in the Secret Doctrines called the Fourth Root Race. And they also talk about the devil in there, and there's another chapter that talks about, and the devil basically is just known as the double one, the one who has a double self, which is the black man. And in there they also talk about, there's a chapter in there called No Shadow, No God, which means no melanin, no God. No melanin, no God, and all. There's also chapters up in there talking about each man will be allotted his own time to not necessarily rule like the white man, but he have his own day in the sun, basically, to rule on even his own destiny or whatever. And all of it would be connected, or all of it would be lengthened based on a circuit of a great year. So each person will have a time, you see, to rule his own destiny or whatever based on a great year. But basically, then the final great year, which is our great year, the final great year would be that we would, the original people would take back the earth. And basically in dealing with that and all, it's just like Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, as well as also the serious mystery, that the gods would write 26,000 years of history. And after 26,000 years of history, they'd have to write a new book. So basically all the books and all of the stuff we have now is the stuff that happened within the last 26,000 years, which is our sun goes around a greater sun every 26,000 years, which is called a great year. You get your serious mystery, which is also a Bible, which is also the black man's Bible, is the serious mystery. Also, because it also talks about another Christ story, is Jason and the Argonauts. which is you get the 1963 movie Jason and the Argonauts that later on inspired the 1981 movie Clash of the Titans with Perseus. All this is about the Christ and the steps you have to go through, and Perseus had to go through certain steps to rise, and what did he do? He fought the dragon, and he killed the dragon at the end, the Kraken. But he had to go get the Medusa, and the Medusa hypnotized the dragon. Well, the Medusa has dreadlocks, and the rays that shot out her eyes is the rays based on the energy coming from melanin. So the Medusa was an Egyptian goddess, an Egyptian queen. And the snakes is nothing but the dreadlocks. And when he held it up and all, and it shot, the rays that shoot out the Medusa eyes is that the rays of the actual penetrating stairs from melanin. You know, all of this is in, you know, like I say, Clash of the Titans. Also, like I said, the Excalibur movie, 1981 also. Excalibur talking about the Holy Grail, which is also talking about melanin. The cup that holds the blood of the blood of Christ, or the blood of the Great Mother, which is talking about melanin. That's the real blood. You see, the real blood also. But the Jason and the Argonauts and stuff, and Jason, they talk about him having a sacred boat. That's nothing but the mothership. Also, that mothership, the sacred boat or the sacred disc, also because he has a shield. Also, that's talking about the disc. Is talking about the black dot. Perseus has a shield. Perseus has a shield. That's the black dot. He has a sword. That's also the Kundalini energy that shoots out your mouth. Perseus also has the white horse Pegasus, and the white horse Pegasus is a symbol of the Christ, and that's when you grow wings. All these are symbols of your energy. Owl came to him and our little owl, and nobody could understand it but him. The owl represented melanin. The wise one, wise owl. Owl being a symbol for melanin, you see. Being a symbol for melanin. The moon being a symbol for melanin, or Sirius B. The lunar form and all. So these are different things that is going on in these particular movies. That's talking about a role of your body, and a role that your body goes to certain levels in this ongoing drama. And the Greek drama and all the dramas that they're talking about is you.
And the golden fleece.
And the golden fleece. Well, hell, that's the golden fleece. If you know and it said, you know, also if you notice the golden fleece, it was basically the way it was in a tree. And the tree is your body. And the golden fleece is also the crown chakra also. Also the crown chakra. You see, all of that, you see, that's dealing with us. And so we used to teach our children these things to get the metaphysical story through mythology, because mythology is actually physics. You see, is actually physics and all. So one thing is happening also is the civil war in Africa is also black people. When you have this civil war in Africa that the demiurge is also doing is they want to kill off so many people in Africa, and they ask where the people went in Africa. Because over half of the continent of Africa is now dead. They don't tell you that because most people, because Africa is not the type of place that is a mobile place that you can even check out for yourself and see who's living or whatever type thing. Because like I say, you can go down 30 miles down the street and be in another damn country and have to take a damn plane just to get to that part of the country, because they don't carve roads and all. So they got it like a jigsaw puzzle. So Africa is these particular wars that's going on is only an excuse to cover up melanin manufacturing camps that they have. And it deals with this. They have camps in Africa or laboratories in Africa where they just basically cut up the bodies in the melanated parts and ship those melanated parts to Europe and America, and they turn them into melatonin. As well as the concentration camps here is based on melanin research, and they turn those things into melatonin also too. So your melatonin companies are here in Europe, and it's here in Europe and also in America. And basically, this is the reason for the concentration camps, which I had predicted in my earlier lectures Mothership 3 that the concentration camps would be a melanin extraction factory and all. So they got these melanin camps all over Africa, and they get mass quantums of melanin from the body parts and stuff all over Africa, and also here too they get them also too. But one thing is also happening is that is this: they make these melatonin pills, and like I said, they got enough melatonin pills that's backed up for 1,000 years. But the leftover meat from the melatonin pills is put in things such as bologna, sausages, meat, where they take it and they mash it and they put it into the meat products. They put it into the meat products, processed meat. You know, turkey loaves with no damn bones in it. So the leftover meat is known as fillers. Leftover meat in hamburgers. Why all of a damn sudden McDonald's and them, everybody coming down with E. coli? That's because a cow's a vegetarian, but hell, if you carving up humans and put them in there, and they got AIDS and they got all kind of chemicals in their body and all, it's easier for it to come down with doggone E. coli. So in actuality, this is the movie Soylent Green, where you are actually eating the bodies of your own people and stuff. But then again, that's a reality because we're in the last days. So the meat products like wieners, sausages, souse meat, luncheon meat, yeah, all of that, bologna, all of that is meat products and stuff, and also from human beings also too. Mainly you eating your black people. You see what I'm saying? Huh? Motel Hell. What is that? The movie, okay. Movie. It making body parts, okay. That's it. Also, it's a ritual for Bill Clinton also to eat the black meat. Eat the black meat, also a ritual. Which leads us to vampirism. The European blacks, from the Moors, the Irish, the Scottish, the Russians, up until the present day, were hunted down, shot down, and eaten for medicine. Become the noble white people. And this is what your Dracula story represents. It came out of Europe. Dracula was and they said that Dracula, there's a history on this particular. Dracula just so happened to be the head cat that the story actually is entered into history of one of the vampires that killed so many people at one time till it almost was ruthless. But hell, all of them was eating particular meat and all. In 1994, dozens of huge books were released on vampirism because this marked the celebration for the creation of melatonin, where the vampire at once didn't have to go and necessarily get the bodies as they would have to do in the past, so they can go right to the drugstore and get the melatonin that was already processed from the blacks from Africa and America. And so therefore these particular books came out and all, and so they used the same vampire rituals just by taking the melatonin pills. It made a great milestone in the white race because it meant that the white race, it meant convenience for the vampires, that they didn't have to go and eat the physical bodies, and they now had processed black bodies known as melatonin. Now, let's deal with some things. Let's see. Your magical fluid is the elixir of Maat. Your magical fluid is the elixir of Awas. Awas is a form of the Christ. Minister of Hippocrates. Hippocrates is talking about the black dot. So your magical fluid that they're talking about is what? Melanin. Your magical fluid is the elixir of Awas. For this reason, you must be on the watch out for vampires who will try to take this substance from you. This is why you must use your will to attract only those who have very high vibration. You see what I'm saying? Because they will come to you because Awas is your master. Although they do not know who he is, what occultism is all about. They will be attracted to you. You see what I'm saying? There will be, he is behind all truly positive types of energy. You see what I'm saying? And these particular vampires, and so these particular vampires who are simply to be the negative powers, and we are ones where the kings will become our slaves. Let's see, we are ones with the kings will become our slaves. And basically that's talking about something else. But basically what they're talking about here is they're talking about your magical elixir is that of Awas, which is melanin. And these vampires will try to steal your melanin from you. That's why you need to rent the movie I Come in Peace, where they were stealing the melanin from the people, shooting this thing up. The new X-Files with the vampires. The Dark Crystal, where they was taking the essence from the people. You see what I'm saying? And all you see, so these are things. These are things that they actually are taken from people. They said that these occult societies have tried to enslave you and what? Steal your magic. So they're talking about vampires. There's a company that's dedicated to vampires, and they have out like 100 damn books on vampirism and all kinds of stuff down in Atlanta, Georgia, in Stone Mountain. And the name of the book is the name of this book is the Book of Nod. The Book of Nod is dealing with vampirism. And I wanted to read one thing. It says, "We mean this: the undead, the damned, the kindred." Remember they had the kindred came on TV last year. On Fox, the kindred that was coming on, and they was eating all these particular people. That's just white people. The kindred, the blood-sucking leeches from hell, do more damage in the world in one night than an army combined of dope dealers can do in their entire lives. Murder, corruption, destruction follows us wherever we go. Just to give you fine readers an idea of a sort of games we play with your lives, consider a nasty little incident that happened in Boston 20 years ago on September the 12th, 1974. While the prince of the city took a covenant of European vacations, a minor elder saw the chance to take out a neonate, whatever that means, who can be thrown aside, can be a thorn in the side. He ordered his ghouls, which is the particular vampires, to take advantage of racial unrest in the city and to attack some of the, what's that word, neonates? Neonates. Yeah, newborn babies, okay. Newborn babies, basically, the mortal allies who are mostly black. The ghouls followed their orders and carried them out in the public eye. The neonates, the allies, had gone to help to make sure the recent school of desegregation plans went off without a hitch. The ghouls attacked them, hoping everything would blame the Boston racial tensions for the attack. So basically what this thing is actually saying is some things, they had that big whatever, and desegregation and that fight based on busing and all that, and they were saying that these particular ones, that they attacked these particular children or these babies or whatever that was mainly black. So basically it's actually just going through this particular history of thing. The name of this book is the Book of Nod. The Book of Nod. And it's dealing with the history of vampirism, and they're saying, and basically the Book of Nod, the vampires are the children of Cain, which bears witness to the Gnostic scriptures talking about the children of Cain, which is these particular evil ones. So the Cain and Abel story is the same as the children of Set and Osiris. And also that would be Cain would also be equivalent to a Adalabroth, and this is Cain and Abel. The Set would be a Adalabroth. So these are the children, are the counterfeit spirits of Adalabroth. And it's the temptation of Cain, and they got this whole thing about these particular vampires and how they rose up throughout history since they've been on the planet. And the name of this book is the Book of Nod. The Book of Nod is by Aristotle Delaurent. The Book of Nod. Anyway, the Book of Nod is put out by a company called 4598 B Stonegate Industrial Boulevard, Stone Mountain, Georgia, 30083. 30083, the Book of Nod. And so you can order these particular books. You can get these books. I think they even sell some of these books in Borders. So you can order them through Borders and all. And it's talking about the history of the vampires. And a vampire is, they're saying sucking the blood. Is not the blood is talking about melanin. That's why when you go back and watch the book, the movie with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, Interview with a Vampire, they say the Creole woman, or the Creole blood is the best blood. It means the black blood is that of the best blood. So it's talking about that was talking about melanated, the melanated ones, the melanated ones. Melanin consists of 2 or 3 things: some stuff called lunar fluid, which is called collars, ogers, which is some other stuff, and shaktis exists within melanin. It is needed to sustain white vampires. It is needed to sustain white vampires and all. And so now you have a vampire melanin war. And our entire community of Vine City is taken over and taken to concentration camps and most of Simpson Avenue. Now let me tell you what this is. Let me explain this to you. I got into a little bit of it yesterday, but I'm going to go through the whole thing. In Atlanta, Georgia, there used to be 2 black communities called Thunder and Lightning, and one was Vine City. One was Vine City, and another, and across the street was another black community. I can't think of the name of it. It was called Lightning. Anyway, your Georgia Dome, the Omni, the World Congress Center, and all the stuff where the Olympics was played out is built on top of this black community. So there again, these are a group of people that disappeared. Across the street is Vine City. And Vine City now is a desolate, empty ghost town right in the center of Atlanta, Georgia, which is a whole community that has disappeared. There's empty houses. And they disappeared somewhere in the late 90s. And all these people are gone. There's a Herndon Homes, which is a project there. The entire project disappeared. And now there's about close to 19 projects that we have seen that there's disappeared, and nobody knows where the people are. You see what I'm saying? And so basically there's a whole... Atlanta has more projects than the rest of the country because the project started from John Hope Homes, which is University Homes, which is the oldest projects in the country, and Techwood Homes, which is they built Georgia Tech on part of that, or they just tore down some of the Techwood Homes and they built the New Olympic Village on top of it. Those are the oldest projects in the world that started in the early 1900s, somewhere in the 1920s, and it was that model that President Roosevelt modeled the great societies after and built high-rises in the cities, Illinois and them, and built high-rises in the cities. And also it was called the Atlanta Project. So the word project comes from the word Atlanta Project. The Atlanta Project again reemerged under Jimmy Carter, and basically this is the group that inoculated 16,000 people, children, vaccinated 16,000 children in one day when they invited Michael Jackson to come, and they would meet Michael Jackson that they got a vaccination shot. And a ticket to the show. So it's the same Atlanta project, in which is headed under the CDC, Center of Disease Control. And Center of Disease Control. It's the same Atlanta project that they have down there and all. And that's where you get the project. So there's about 19 projects that's been shut down at this particular time. It is made possible by a main railroad system that runs through Northside Drive. And it says, and it passed through the West End Side, which basically are where all black people are. And it includes Simpson Vine City and the AU Center where all your college students are, so some of them are getting ready to get snatched also too. Stewart Avenue and there's whole sections, and also your AU Center is right off of Northside Drive. And so some of those are getting ready to get snatched too, as we know that they have already started snatching some of them. It's an open haven, you see. And there's this main coastline is one side. Now the other coastline that gets Auburn Avenue, where you have Sweet Auburn and Martin Luther King Church, is another train line that they put people on. It goes to Edgewood, and it's another main coastline. So what you have here is there's two coastlines like a split level T, and they can pick blacks up from all parts. Now I'm saying is you're supposed to do some research and find out where the coastlines is, and basically we even located the part where they're actually putting them on, because near the black area they have this whole construction yard that has these, just like these piles of this black tar and coal yards and all of this. And basically you think it's construction going on, and and this is the place where they detain black people and put them on the particular box carts. Because if you notice anything about, if you ever worked in any type of factories, your box carts pull up beside the factories so you could unload your products on the box carts. So one of these particular factories is in that particular part becomes a deportation center where they snatch black people up and put them in this factory, and they just load them on these trains. And these trains take them to various concentration camps. Various concentration camps and all. And it's millions of people that's being snatched at this particular times. At this particular times and all. Millions of black people is being taken. So the word, so collars, this is an out of print book that you might be able to find it in Maat Magick. They might talk about it. Collars, time, also a digit of the moon and the makers of the dark forenights. Our word calendar derived from the word collar, K-A-L-A. There are 16 collars, lunar fluids known as terrestrial to terrestrial sense. They are situated in the organism of the human female. Hence, Kali, the goddess of time, is also a form of collars. Time is a source of energy that powers spacecraft. These collars also they talk about. Which converted into energy, these collars appear as powerful motives of spacecraft that enable to travel innumerable distance in time with a twinkling of an eye. So all of this is also going on in the actual forms of in the forms of the body. In Ojas, collars is the name of that, K-L-A-S, collars. The other word is Ojas. Ojas is energy, and this is all coming from Sanskrit, so it's a lot of your Indian stuff. Ojas, energy. So if you want to try to find some of this stuff, get a book called Serpent Fire. Serpent Fire. Let's see the name of that book. Serpent Fire, a red book that's dealing with Kundalini. That's the book that you want to get, where this guy's getting his information from. Serpent Fire is the name of that book. Also look for a purple book put out on the Kundalini. It's a manuscript. It's an actual Sanskrit manuscript that talks about awakening the Kundalini and all of that, and it's put out by Sunny Book Company, Sunny State University of New York. And I don't know the name, but I know just look for a purple book with, I think, yellow writing on it, Kundalini, and it's put out by Sunny Books. But also your book Serpent Power is put out by Dover Publication. And these are some of the terms, and all of this consists inside of the melanin. Ojas, energy, specifically occult sense, is highly radioactive magical energy. Hence, it is relevant to a new sexual magic that facilitates the traffic of the old ones, which means we're talking about energy, and the old ones is traffic is also talking about the old ones that's inside of you. Hence, it is relevant also to the mutations and the mutants now beginning to manifest on terrestrial level. So why they say it's relevant to them, to the mutants, it's relevant to them that they need this particular Ojas, collars, to try to even get to a certain level. You see, so they say it is relevant to mutations and mutants now beginning to manifest on terrestrial levels, which means terrestrial levels means earth levels. So these people is trying to manifest themselves to get to the extraterrestrial is the people in the secret societies, these mutants. You see. So and so they're dealing with these particular things that consist in melanin, Shakti, Sakti, S-A-K-T-I, Sakti, a power of the Hindu Tantra. Sakti is typified by the female energies. The word derives from the Egyptian word Sekhet, or Sekhet, or the goddess Sekhmet, which is sexual heat symbolized by a fiery sun in the south. Hence, it is associated with Set or Soot. So they're talking about the sun in the south is talking about the root chakra of the Kundalini coming to aid to the particular components of melanin is what this particular stuff that is actually talking about. This particular information. So these particular things that we're dealing with here is what these vampires are out to get, this magical fluid, which is Shaktis, Ojas, and Kalas, which all consist in melanin. You see what I'm saying? And so what it is the problem is when most of the scholars have studied melanin on a chemical level, there's a whole metaphysical level that they haven't studied it on. And so therefore you get a lot of this stuff in the Sanskrit, which is also ancient Hindu or something like that. And in there you get it in that particular book. Serpent Power is the book that deals with that particular information also. So this is what we have to also deal with. Like I said, also too, the snatching of these black bodies is also documented in the movie Extreme Measures, in the book Extreme Measures by Michael Palmer, which is a medical doctor. So please go see that movie to get some type of inkling on what's really going on, because now the doctors are even coming out now. You see what I'm saying? Is actually coming out now and actually saying this particular stuff. You see. So the United States government is a power that is stuck in the subconscious, and this is why black people, we just paraphrasing, going over some things, think that the government is the only situation out, because I told you last night is for the simple fact that we now understand, and also as well as education. See, also with education, you can say a lot of things, but when it comes to that college education, the buck stops there when some black people and all, that's like talking against God. Oh, college is everything to them. You see what I'm saying? And basically basically this is indoctrination. You see, this is indoctrination. One of a great movie to try to understand on what you're trying to do as far as trying to get back to the childhood self is a great movie that came out called Regarding Henry with Harrison Ford. Now this particular movie with Harrison Ford was this arrogant snob. Just ridiculous. Just this arrogant snob and all this, and probably a racist too. Just big time defense lawyer, just go and just kill people in the courtroom. Anyway, he ended up getting shot in the head and he lost his memory. And it was interesting because the person who made him gain his memory back was Bill Nunn, which was a black man. And so basically he ended up being a nigger because he was real humble after that and all, and he didn't like his job no more, he didn't like the snobs anymore. And one of his best friends was Bill Nunn, the black man. You see what I'm saying? Was the black man. So this is a very, very key that you go see this movie and all and stuff. And it's basically, it's a drastic move on how you had to get the white man to get rid of this big ego and all, but also we need lessons in all this type of humility also too. So Regarding Henry is a great movie to try to understand this particular part. The book of Enoch also talks about we will become food for the sinners. For the sinners. Now the book of Enoch is the book of Enoch is also written for today. It's also written for today. Also, the CDC, is the Center of Disease Control, also has a hospital called Grady Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a guinea pig factory for most black people since, and it's one of the chief centers for melanin research on black people, and they can just snatch up bodies and they can do all kinds of things and all kinds of experiments, and it's a guinea pig factory because Atlanta is 75% black. So they got a overwhelmingly amount of black people in this particular hospital, Grady. Most white people know not to go there. You see, and I'm quite sure that every particular place has a particular hospital that you don't want to go to. And Grady is one of those and all, and Grady has a symbol for medicine, and the symbol for medicine is turned backwards, which means it's not really a symbol for medicine, it's a symbol for diabolical research. And basically that's what they do. They carve up black people down there. Yeah. Yeah, well, see, that's a new thing that they're doing now. They're doing it now, and a lot of people that don't know any better, a lot of college students and a lot of brothers and sisters from the projects, they will pay you to go in a room and take so many types of pills and stuff. You see what I'm saying? As well as prisoners and stuff. Some prisoners can get out of doing labor and stuff by just going to this place and doing this research and taking all this particular stuff, and it has severe side effects on them and all. You see what I'm saying? So I'm quite sure. I'm quite sure, like you said, that you have one also here too. You see, Adolf Hitler, and this is why I said it was interesting to get that particular book, Hitler, the Occult Messiah, because actually Hitler was a form of the Messiah. He was good for us because if you really understand and study Hitler, Hitler devastated Europe. Europe was nothing but a bombed-out shell after Hitler got through. After Hitler got through, and Hitler literally destroyed Europe, as well as the European Jews. But he killed millions of Russians, millions of the British, millions of the French. You see what I'm saying? And then in the backfire, millions of Germans died. So we talking about World War II was a vanguard for us, for the simple fact that, you know, at that particular time, they still didn't have a lot of black people fighting. They selected a few, but it wasn't masses like Vietnam, you see. Also, Hitler was being visited by entities, but we now find out that Hitler was actually being visited by the spirit of Heru, and Heru was telling him to do these things so he could wreck and ramshack Europe as a payback on what was happening, because the Book of Law had prophesied that they would have a World War II. And that was actually Awas and them channeling to him to tell him to just ramshack the actual place like that.
Okay, so they said that they were disagreeable.
Right.
Entities, but in fact they weren't.
Right. And as a matter of fact, Hitler had gone so far as Hitler's vision of, Hitler had drawn architectural blueprints of what he wanted his particular empire to look like, and it was a laid out white palace city like Egypt. So they had to even had to give him spiritual visions to even take it out, because he thought that he was the Messiah. But the whole time he was seeing spiritual visions of Horus, of a later world that he was trying to establish by killing all the white people in Europe, when he saw this later world in a crystal palace in which we are going to have. So it just gave him a glimpse of what we are going to have in this later world, and he killed off half of Europe thinking it was him. You see? Well, let's ask him.
How come he had brown hair?
Let's ask. Well, he was a Jew.
He had brown hair and brown eyes.
We'll see what you get on that. Did Hitler have the black dot? Well, we got two of them. He did? So he was a brother up in there putting scunion on their ass. That's what happened and all. And that's what the whole deal is when you get the book Adolf Hitler, Black Magician by Schuster. by Schuster. Also, there's a movie you need to see called The Forbidden. Called The Forbidden. It came out in 1984 with this, what's the name of this girl? Bassett, not Angela Bassett, this white girl, Bassett, Jacqueline Bassett. Jacqueline Bassett. And in this particular movie, it's called The Forbidden. But there's one thing about this movie, and the reason why I say you need to see this particular movie, because even under oppression, the doggone white Jews started turning just like Negroes do. They had them, one guy, he was hiding out in Germany, although the Jews, just like us, they didn't believe that these doggone Germans would actually put them through this hell. So they was hiding out in Germany, and what happened was, one guy was hiding out, and he ran up on another Jew, and the other Jew didn't know he was a Jew because he was hiding out as he was a German. And the other Jew, he said, "I'm a Jew." He said, "You know how I get to walk around free and don't have sent off to concentration camps?" He said, "Well, how?" He said, "Because my job is I turn in my own brothers and sisters. So if I turn in Jews I turn in Jews just to stay alive." So, and I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, hell, this is not only a flash in what's going to happen in the future for us, but it's also what's been happening to us since we got out of damn slavery, and even in slavery. You see, even in slavery. So that was very interesting in that particular movie. The name of it is The Forbidden, 1984. And sometime you can catch it on HBO. Gold is the ancient symbol for melanin. Ancient symbol for melanin that was actually misconstrued later on as gold being a symbol of substance. But gold, actually, that was talking about it, the Egyptians used to put on gold as a symbol of the actual gold that was inside of their head, which is melanin, because melanin has all the components to make gold. And that's the key to actually being, as far as melanin. So what happened was, in actuality, what happened was they misconstrued this and all, and so the Egyptians used to put it on because gold was a substance that wasn't really valuable to them. So it was a substance that wasn't really valuable to them and all, but the white man came and was actually started going crazy over gold because he is external. And we are internal. And we are internal, which I'm going to deal with some things on alchemy, but I think I'm going to go into this Moorish thing, and that's going to lead off into alchemy also too. So now, since I drank some more water, I want you to cut one more time, and I'm just going to go up in 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to go on and on. And this portion we're going to deal with the hidden history of the Moors, if we have of Moorish science, but we can very well find out about the Moorish science from Noble Drew Ali. This is the Moorish science of the Moors, who had brought certain disciplines up into Spain that later on turns into what they call the occultism, or the esoteric or the metaphysical movement, which they are all trying to claim is white now, because they can trace the stuff back to Europe. Sure, they can trace the stuff back to Europe, but what they don't tell you is that the stuff was brought up into Europe of 16 universities by the Moors. The Moors are also called Sufis, which means woolly-haired ones. Which means woolly-haired ones. You get this documented in the book People of the Secret by Ernest Scott, if you want to understand some stuff on the Sufis. Woolly-haired ones. The woolly-haired ones have been around since Lemuria. That's where you get the word Lemuria or Alchemoria. They are also in a sense Egyptians. Were not necessarily called Egyptians, were called Cam, or Camite. And then you get the word Camemoria. And Camemoria is talking about basically a branch of Egyptians, or a branch of Camites. This means the black ones, the woolly-haired ones. From Alchemoria, which is another name, you get the word alchemy, which means Egypt. Arabia was the first part of Kush, ancient Kushite empire. You get Drusilla Dundee Houston's book, The Wonderful Ethiopians in the Ancient Kushite Empire. You get it in any of these black bookstores, where they show that a form of Arabia was ancient Kush, which is what? Ethiopia. Ethiopia, the ancient Kushite Empire, the wonderful Ethiopians in the ancient Kushite Empire, the ancient Kush. And so that particular one, the Moors or the Sufis are the leftover, not only Egyptians, but they are the original black Arabians, which I always say that an Arabian exhibition came to Atlanta in 1979. In this exhibition, I thought it was an African exhibition because 85% of the people that were shown in Arabia was blue-black. Was blue-black. So the Moors or Sufis are the original Kushite Arabian race before the Arabs. The only what they did is they fused Islam as a cover, which is the exoteric moral dogma, and the underground mystery were of Kamamorian origin, which is the mystery system, basically. In the book Egyptian Belief in Modern Thought by James Barneswick. Egyptian Belief in Modern Thought by James Barneswick. You either get it from Kessinger or that guy, if he's still, his book company is still in, the guy from Chesapeake, Virginia. Remember that guy E. Curtis Alexander from Chesapeake, Virginia, used to print the outer print books? I don't know if he still does. I think he still does, but you can get that book, Egyptian Belief in Modern Thought by James Barneswick. And in there he said that Muhammad's father was a Kushite Arab that taught him the mysteries of Sirius. And so when Muhammad fashioned Islam by actually it was Bilal that fashioned Islam, and they knew that the savage Arab couldn't understand great science on astrology. They just took one of the stars from the greater stars that they studied in the original Kushite Arab, and they put the main chief star of the Egyptians and the Arabs in the surah of the star of the Holy Quran. And he forbid his followers to study any other parts of astrology. Muhammad, the name of that book is Egyptians Belief in Modern Thought, James Barneswick. And it's a chapter in there called Sirius Worship. And they talk about that particular part, that particular part also. The Brotherhood of the Moors is also called the Qutub. Let's see that I bring my red book. The Qutub, K-U-T-U-B. And let me see if I got it in here. Bear with me 1 minute. Let's see if I can get this thing. It's called the Qutub or the Qutab is the name of this brotherhood. The Great White Brotherhood, which is also talking about the Great White Brotherhood of Melchizedek, is not talking about white people. It's talking about the ones who bear the crown chakra. And you can't have the crown chakra now unless you have the black dot, the yin and the yang. The Great White Brotherhood of the Western occultism of Sufism, or the Sufi mysticism, is said to have an invisible rulership. The chiefs of the known as the Qutub, K-Q-U-T-U-B, Qutab or Qutab or Qutub, is considered to have achieved supreme enlightenment in the degree of the W-A-S-L, Wasal or whatever, Wasal, or the union of the infinite. And it says his identity was known only as to a secret select few, and he keeps in touch with the leaders of the various orders by telepathy. So that's this particular person who is called W-A-S-L. And by the faculties of transcending time and space. Transcending time and space. And also, like I said, this is documented in the book. It used to be called the Fucanelli Phenomenon, the book on alchemy, in this chapter called Black is Wise, which is the first chapter of the book, Black is Wise. This particular book is now called The Immortals by Kenneth Rayner Johnson, in the chapter called The Black is Wise, where under the word black is wise it says the alchemy of gold is better than gold, because that's melanin. The alchemy of gold, which is the melanated gold, is better than gold. The real alchemists are also the true Sufis, who are but a smashing, who has but a smattering of Sufism, is not superior than the learned man. So basically they're talking about this particular Sufis were the ones that actually was a branch of the Egyptian mystery system that dealt with also alchemy, which they carried alchemy up into Europe. That's why if you see the movie Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein was interested in alchemy. And the guy said, I don't want to hear nothing about some raving lunatics like Alberta Magus, who's long been dead in his grave. Alberta Magus was an alchemist that was taught by the Moors. And so Dr. Frankenstein was in love with the magical art, or the raw art of alchemy. And he wanted to create a body like the Yakub type deal, where they use alchemy for gene splicing. For gene splicing. It was the aim of the Moorish Hutu or the Sufis to bring the Europeans out of darkness. And also because the first black Greeks attempted and failed. Now, also, if you get the people of the secret, he'll deal with Sufi, then he'll say Sufis in Spain. He won't say the word Moor, but a few times in the book to throw you off, because he's a master of the English language. But the Sufis and the Moors is one and the same. So anytime you want to get Moor science, anytime you get any books on Sufism, like the Sufi Book of Healing, and different books, and there's several books, The Way of the Sufi and different things, this is Moor science. This is Moor science and all, and they double talk. Sufi mean woolly-haired one, which he also says in the back of The People of the Secret by Ernest Scott, which is a valuable book. And all. So after the Greeks failed and Europe went into a dark age, the Moors had to come up and set up 16 universities in Europe to civilize the beast. They gave the Europeans the Jewish faith, also documented in the book The 13th Tribe, Alta Culture. Group of Europeans had to pick a religion and pick the Jewish faith. 13th Tribe is taken from Moorish, Arabic manuscripts also. They gave them the Holy Kabbalah. That particular Jew, they gave the Holy Kabbalah. It was first given to a Jew that they named Moses de Leon, who they're now saying is the author of the Holy Kabbalah, but we know we see the Holy Kabbalah on the temple of Como in Egypt. They gave him the Holy Kabbalah. They gave them the Tarot, because the Moors just basically went around the world and carted up all the secrets and set up the 16 universities and stuff. And they gave them the Tarot. So that's why you see the Tarot, you say that's some European thing. No, the Tarot came from Moor science, and so it was the leftover fragments out of the University of Salamanca, which is now the leftover fragments in mass volume from the 16 universities is now housed in the British Museum. The bulk of it, and then all through Russia and France, and the different leftover things of this particular universities. First European plumbing system, the gun. That was one they could have kept, because that sure fucked us up.
That was an alchemical process.
Yeah, well, the gunpowder. Alchemy was a gunpowder. It was alchemical process. The suit coat was given to them, copied from the Yorubas, the suit coat. And they say they gave them clothes and taught them how to dress. And so they taught them how to dress, and they put them in them little red coats, and by the time they came to Africa, the Africans was fooled and thought they were civilized, because they was clean with the gold buttons and all that shit. Of course, they didn't wash for years, but still yet they was clean. Suit coat, perfume. Gave them perfume, because that's nothing but a process of chemistry and alchemy. Gave them the perfume and all. You see. You see. I gave them that. All forms of masonry, Scotch Rite, Scottish Rite, York Rite, Knights Templars, Rosicrucians, Illuminati, which means the original was the Illumined one. The illumined ones, that they turned into a rulership just like they did everything else, taking the divine power of the order of the Round Table, which they gave them the Knights Templar and the Grail Knights, and they set up I told you, they set up King Arthur, and the Round Table later on becomes the Round Table that they rule you by with the Illuminati. The European system of Enochian magic, the Enochian magic of Dr. John Dees, was found manuscripts that was left behind that was in possession of Queen Elizabeth. He later on changed his name and said that he wrote these Enochian things. These Enochian angelic, this angelic magic called Enochian system that you can get. That was stuff that was left behind by the Moors at the University of Salamanca. He changed his name and said it was his. The playing cards, the playing cards that you have now that you gamble with, were originally came from the tarot cards and was also given to them for a form of recreation by the Moors. Gave them the playing cards. Both of those were Moorish instruments. The Moors also throughout the world were all throughout the world. The Morocco, the ancient Moabites. The Greeks talk about the Moors. Everybody talk about the black Moors, including famous black Moor was Beethoven.
Yes. Yes.
In the Americas, John Smith of the Mormons got the teachings from the Moors. The Book of Mormons, Masons, and got their teaching from the Moors. The Book of Mormon, John Smith in Utah, and it's all set up based on the Moors. They said if you want to find genealogy, you got to go to Utah because the Moors set all that up. And later on, they tried to make it white by putting in the Book of Mormon that the black race is of an evil race to actually throw it all off. You see what I'm saying? To throw it all off. But John Smith, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, husband Mark Prophet, founded his civilization based on Moorish teachings of the Moorish science and all. As a matter of fact, one of their particular ascended masters is El Mori, as well as Saint Germain was a black Moor. St. Augustine, all of these were black. The saints that they talk about were all black Moors. Saint Germain was also a black Moor also too. The black Moor gave King Arthur his particular information, Moorland, that you get the word Merlin from. A changed word from Moorland is Merlin. It goes, the tradition goes all the way back to Atlantis and Lemuria. Get Garrett Knight's book, The Secret Tradition in Arthurian Legend, an awesome book. Secret Tradition in Arthurian Legend. It traces the Holy Grail and stuff all the way back to, traces the Holy Grail legend all the way back to Atlantis. Merlin the magician. Merlin magician. There's also a book by Stewart on Merlin. But Merlin was Moorland. And in the movie Excalibur, you remember, and anybody saw the movie yet, when the little girl said, "I am one of you." And he said, "But do you know the royal art?" The royal art is alchemy. And she started saying sulfur, what makes this? And it was talking about the mysteries of melanin. And she was the only one that could actually mess Merlin up. I think she did in the end.
Well, he got her back, though.
Yeah, he got her back, yeah.
He got her back. He took all her skin.
Yeah, because she was a black woman. She said, "I can see, I'm a seer like you." Talking about I have the third eye, I have the black eye, I have the melanin. That's the mystery of the, and get the movie Excalibur that came out in 1981 also too. Excalibur, get it, and try to understand the sword and the stone, the Disney picture. And who could draw the sword from the stone? What is the stone? The stone is the stone, philosopher's stone. The philosopher's stone is the black stone of all the composites of the universe, which is alchemy. The sword is the kundalini. Who can draw the sword from the stone? It's also the sword coming from the mouth, the speech, word. Say, who draws the sword from the stone is king. And Arthur drew the sword from the stone and said, "Why am I king?" They say, "You just are." You see, meaning Arthur had melanin. You see what I'm saying? So see Excalibur. But Percival was the one. There's another book called the Cup of Destiny. It deals with Percival. Get all these books. The Cup of Destiny. Parzival is the one that later on got the Holy Grail, but the Holy Grail eluded him so many times because basically he was looking outwardly. And in order to find the Holy Grail, you must go within. As well as the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusades, where they went and tried to get the Holy Grail and everybody was killing themselves with the cup, but Sean Connery took the cup and drank from it and threw the cup down. He said it wasn't the cup, the gold cup, it was what was in the cup. And his father said what? He said illumination. But on their way in the quest for the Grail, if you look in the movie closely, you'll see everybody wearing goddamn fez. Burgundy fez, just like the Moors wearing, was all over the movie. Telling you this is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Everybody around, everybody had on fez in the movie. That means that they had to go through the Moors and all, because it had to go through the Moors to even find the Holy Grail. And everybody was wearing the fez. You see. Yeah. The Moors is also, the leftover Moors is also left behind or bastardized children, called the gypsies, who were the sons and daughters of the Egyptians. Egyptians, gypsies. So who were the Moors but Egyptians? Gypsy means Egyptian. And it was left behind. It was left behind. That's why it's crucial that you get the first Highlander movie. Who are the Highlanders? The Highlanders are the original bastardized children of Scotland from the Moors. Which the original Highlander, if you get the first Highlander, which is the best one, when Sean Connery appears, he said, well, who are you? He said, you're immortal. And he asked Sean Connery, who are you? He said, I'm an Egyptian. Highlander 1. Which they just celebrated the 10th anniversary this year, and they put out another video out. They put out a video on the 10th anniversary, Highlander 1 and all. And so when you see the Highlander, I have the blood of kings running through me, and you see the show Highlander. Only can be one Highlander, but they have to cut off the head of the non-melanated ones. So the gypsies and all. Your Egyptians were your gypsies were the son of the Egyptians. The Moorish and Egyptians that were ran or killed out of Ireland by St. Patrick's. Basically, they say ran out of Ireland. Basically, they didn't run nobody. They ate them. Basically, the Moorish Egyptians in Scotland and basically they just ate these people. So where did these people go? They didn't return to lands that they was long removed from, because they had stayed in Europe for 700 years. They were eaten out of Europe. They were literally eaten. The Egyptian robe that you have, which is your Masonic robe, comes from the Egyptian robe or the Moorish robe, but that's where you get these. But the real Egyptian robe is now turned into a raw fabric of the Scotlands, and it shows kilt, that they wear the little dress. It's worn and it's patterned after the Egyptian robes of the people that used to rule at that particular time. So the kilt is an Egyptian invention, as well as the bagpipes. It gave them the music and all. And one thing with England told them they couldn't play the bagpipes. They couldn't speak their own language because it was a black language. The movie Braveheart, the guy said, if we can't kill them off, we will breed them off. Why would he breed them off if they were all white people? That meant that there was a black element that it was breeding off. And they said that the English people had to be the first to have sex with the Scottish women from Scotland. And that whole thing and all. That's all a part, as well as the Irelands hooked up with them, because they were known as the Negroes of Europe. Certain systems of magic, your Gautier system, when you get the Book of Gautier by Aleister Crowley. This is magic that is basically given to them by the Moors. The Greater Key of Solomon. Get the book, The Temple of Solomon the King. The Temple of Solomon the King by McGregor Malthus, where they got the rituals in the Greater Key of Solomon, which is that, and the Lesser Key of Solomon, which is your Gautier, And all of what it means is the Greater Key, which means is the high level, but you use the Gautier, which is the lower one close to you, to get to the Greater Key of Solomon in these particular ritual systems. And all of your books on magic and witchcraft is more science. So the witchcraft was nothing but a rebellion against the Moors that came and all, was Moorish science and all. So all of, yeah. So it's actually Moorish science. All your books on witchcraft and all. Nostradamus, as I said, trained by a Moor, get the Nostradamus Orion pictures, which is all a movie to get over and over anyway. Nostradamus 1994 Orion pictures, where he was trained by this Moor, although they show a white man, but in the Millennium Prophecies on NBC they showed a black man. He was trained by the Moors and trained how to channel by the Moors, which they gave that sacred potion, which they only gave the potion to be nutmeg, but in actuality the real potion is nutmeg and honey, boiled into a tea and drinking, and it opens up your psychic energy. Orion Pictures 1994, Nostradamus. But they only gave nutmeg, but it's nutmeg and honey. You boil it into a tea and drink the tea, and it opens up you psychically. You know, opens up psychically. All forms, so Wicca and witchcraft and all that type of stuff was based on the Moors. You see. So also movies on counter the Moor. Rob Roy was a Moorish teacher. Anytime you saw the little boy with a turban on, or people with a turban on, it wasn't a service. Those were the actual kings and queens, teachers teaching them how to run a state. Maul Flanders, which is a movie that you now can get now, which what's his name played a Moor. Morgan Freeman played a Moor in the actual movie, as well as he played a Moor in Robin Hood also too. Yeah, M-A-L-L Flanders. M-O-L. Yeah, there's an earlier version, but then there's a newer version that comes out this month. Came out this month on video, and I say get it. It's a very good video also too. You know, Necronomicon manuscripts were also found in the British Museum and also brought up by the Moors and stuff. H.P. Lovecraft got a hold of these manuscripts and claimed, he got some of it from dreams and all, which he also did based on certain rituals, but basically it was brought out of brought to Europe also too. All forms of alchemy, the art of alchemy brought up to Europe, and the Moors was provided by the Moors to somehow clean the Aegean stable, which means in actuality to make souls for those people that didn't have souls, but it did not work. Also, that's in People of the Secret also, to make souls of those people who did not have souls and all, or to make a as they put in the Sequel of the Secret, to make a non-aberrated man. Look up the word aberrate, means unusual, unnatural. So to make a non-aberrated man, which means you want to make a natural man from that which is unnatural. That's also in the People of the Secret, which was the art of alchemy. The art of alchemy that we'll go into right now, based on some alchemy. The Philosopher's Stone came from Saturn, which is the planetary representation of Sirius, which also in the book there's a book where they take mythology and show that it is actually scientific and physics. The name of the book is called Hamlet's Mill, which Hamlet's Mill, that also bears witness that the Kaaba in Mecca came from Saturn. And the Kaaba that they're walking around in Mecca that came from Saturn is the same black dot that's in us that came from Sirius by way of Saturn, with the same compound, and Sirius B in this whole 9 yards, which is the makeup of Saturn, which the Kaaba that people are worshiping, the Kaaba of Allah, is inside the people. Because as you know that they stole a piece of the Kaaba in the early 1900s, or the white man did, and took it to a lab, and there's pure carbon and pure melanin. So the Saturn is also this particular form of melanin, or the Philosopher's Stone, or the stone seat. Isis is called what? The stone seat, which is talking about melanin. the philosopher's stone, the stone that has every component of the universe in it. Who has the philosopher's stone? Why is it the philosopher's stone this mystery? Because the philosopher's stone is nothing but melanin. But nothing but melanin. My child must know that the stone is called a philosopher's stone that comes from Saturn. And know, my child, for truth is in the whole vegetable work. There is no higher and greater secret than that is in Saturn, which is melanin. So anybody talking about, we want you to join some Masonic group. We got this little mystery system over here, and we got some secrets. Fuck it, you got the secret. It's the melanin. The book is in you. The book is in you. They say you're supposed to eat the pages. So the Bible is only a rendition of what's in your brain. They say we have the bigger book of what all the other books on the earth in heaven with us. Well, where's heaven? The upper region of the brain, called Jerusalem. Heru Salam. Heru in peace. Jerusalem. House of Jerusalem is a mausoleum, a house. Heru, house of peace. Covenant. The black dot, the circle. The house of peace, Jerusalem. You have the book in you. You are the book. I am the book. The philosopher's stone. There is no greater secret than that is Saturn. And that is man is the miracle of the universe that contains within himself the greatest of secrets. For we do not find perfection in gold containing to an immortal spirit. Herein the philosopher's stone, the philosophers agree that it wants nothing else but the first of to remove it calls the superfluous. Let's see what that means in a few minutes. What's that? Superfluous. Whatever that has to get. Superfluous. And it says superfluous are those things that have no real value of us. That's the physical body. You see what I'm saying? Which retard our advancement. These are not only carnal passions, but all possessions of no intrinsic value. So to move the superfluous, it says so, and it says then that you turn inside outward. So you're going to turn the inside outward with its redness, which you call blood. Then it will be good gold. You see what I'm saying? Which will be good gold. This is another way of the teaching as did Isaiah. And he says, it says, wash you and make you clean and put away evil of your doings before mine eyes. They're talking about the physical body and make you clean, which is talking about the gold, the spiritual gold, which is the gold of alchemy. Because the alchemy breaks down into sulfur, mercury. Sulfur and mercury, salt and water. But it says already been dealt with, the footnote on sulfur. Saturn is man in this sense. Mercury is purified and exalted mind that has been stabilized. It is sublimated and brought into the sublime. Gold is internally, man having followed the laws both of nature and God and having settled mercury mind, i.e. mercury has transmitted the dross into gold or spirituality. So basically, the alchemy that the white man is trying to use, I'm trying to find out what makes gold and this and the sulfur and all that he's trying to do outwardly, you already have in you. So basically, the only thing you got to do is damn near just think. 907 be true. Saturn also stands for lead. It's called the philosopher's lead, which means melanin. Melanin, Saturn, Satan. That's why you get the book Saturn, a new look at the old devil. So Satan, a set on. Soot, which is the black one, and Anubis, which is the black dog. Soot Anubis, which Anubis is the barker. So that's like the energy, which is soot, the blackness, and Anubis, which is the barker, or which is the God that warns, which is the word of God. Soot on, shade on, fate on, soot Anubis, set on, Saturn also. A New Look at the Old Devil, a book, astrology book that you need to get. Saturn, A New Look at the Old Devil. And then they even go into some stuff on melanin in that book. Samuel Weiser. Saturn is gold internally. This is all about alchemy. As long as the black race has the philosopher's stone, they are the richest people on earth. And in earth. On earth. And it says, they will never, this is why they will never be rich on earth in the masses as they have in the past, because you are rich on the inside. You can't serve two masters. And the only reason why some of us make it is that's by the grand design. They had to give a group of people that because there's separation, divide, and conquer. But the reason why that poor man is poor because he's rich on the inside. His gold is on the inside, you see. Sol, which is the sun behind the sun, Sirius. Luna, which is the moon, is both in Saturn. So Saturn comprised of the sun and the moon. That's why they say, I saw the mystery of the sun and the moon, which is the moon is represented by Tahuti, which is the messenger, and the sun represented Heru, the Christ, or Elijah and the Christ of the nation of Israel, Islam, or Egypt, which is the Christ people is coming up. Tahuti means moon. Heru means sun, which is Sirius, the sun behind the sun. The moon represents Sirius B, and the sun represents Sirius A, which represents both met in the planetary Saturn, which is both met in the planetary Saturn, which is basically the mysteries of the mysteries of melanin is the philosopher's stone, which in actuality is the black dot is Sirius B, unmanifest, and Sirius A is the shine off of Sirius B. Sirius A is the shine off of Sirius B, which all of the mysteries of Sirius, go back and read the Sirius mystery and apply it to the inside of your body, and apply it to the inside of your body, and all. So the white buffalo represents the radiant white shine. So these particular terms, Obatala, which would be the outer manifestation of the whiteness, Legba would be the inner, which would be the inner, because he's the God of the crossroads. Where's the crossroads? This is the cross, and the hidden God is on the inside of the God of the crossroads, the head, the head and all. So that's what these particular terms are terms that's supposed to be used in your particular body, in your particular body. Now, I want to deal with some Isis, which means the stone seat, which is also talking about melanin also. The Black Rite of Osiris, you will find that also in Robert Temple's book, and also Robert Anton Wilson's book, The Cosmic Trigger, but also the Sirius Mystery. The Black Rite of Osiris is talking about the mysteries of Osiris, which is also talking about melanin. The cat lion crystal gene is the strongest seed. It said its via personal genes resonate the racial makeup of the planet, but the cat lion crystal gene is the strongest, which is talking about melanin, because the Sphinx is the ultimate symbol of melanin, which is the number 19. 1 and 9 is completion. The Sphinx is the ultimate symbol of melanin. Also, the Sphinx is the ultimate symbol, is also registered as 418. It's also registered as 418 also too. Sanat Kumara, which is a god that they talk about in Elizabeth Clare Prophets, when actually he was a priest of Ra. It was an ascended priest of Amen, who is also one that ascended to Sirius also too, which gives you the one I said, what was the name, the quote from Sanat Kumara I used to say on the video, no, that's one, that's the quote in the book. It's light will make us one. Light will Now what is it? Light will overcome. Light will make us one. Light from the blue fire sun command us all free. A quote from Sanat Kumara. Samson means serious. His hair, which is melanin. They cut his hair, they cut his melanin out, and he became blind and couldn't see. You see what I'm saying? Couldn't see. You see what I'm saying? Because his hair, the original word for serious is Arabic, means hair. You get the word Hari Krishna. Hari, it means Sirius Christ. Christ of Sirius. You see, the original Arabic word Hari, or Hari, which is the Arabic word for Sirius also. Sut, Set, Sut means Sirius. Sirius, the Sirius scriptures in the Book of the Dead also, which one would be, I set up a ladder to the gods, but I am one of them. And I holler like a goose until they hear my prayer, and they report it to the Lord, to report it to Sirius. You know, also in the Book of Coming Forth by Day. That's why it's good to, if you get a Book of the Dead, get one, get your Burgess one, or get one with a index in the back. Get one in the index in the back. But recently, there's one that's been put out by Gramercy Press, a hardback version. You can order them at Barnes & Nobles. Go to Barnes & Nobles and they order them. And it's one put out by Gramercy Books. And it's a big hardback version, which is the original one that Budge put out in the 1800s, which has all of the stuff that they took out of the ones you get now, and plus it has index in the back and commentary. It's a big hardback one for only $13, which I priced the original hardback one in 1990 before this one came out, and it was like $150 for a hardback version of the Book of Coming Forth by Day. The original 1800-something Budge. Now that book is printed by Gramercy Books, and you can go to Barnes & Noble. They have a book display where they have all these so-called discount books. There's a company that print those books new, and Gramercy Books is one of those out of New Jersey. And they print a hardback Book of the Dead, one of the original ones, which a lot of stuff was taken out of the later ones from Dover Publication. You want to get the Gramercy one, the one that has the index in the back plus an extended commentary. Also, you want to get a book by Allen. His last name is Allen. He died I think he died sometime in the 70s. You want to get his book from the University of Chicago, the Book of Going Forth by Day. That's the Book of the Dead from the University of Chicago. You want to get his, and that's where you can also find those quotes also, those quotes also too. Sirius is also known as the golden calf, Sophist in the Bible. So if Adalabroth is speaking negative about the golden calf, you see what I'm saying? Then that means he's speaking negative about your God. They say idol worshippers. But go and if you read the Virgin of the World, or the Hermetic text, which the Virgin of the World is out of print, and there's the 5-volume book, G.R.S. Lee's Thrice Greatest Hermits is out of print. So you're going to have to go and get the only whole volume you're going to get now is Walter Scott's Hermetica, $20-something. But in there, they're talking to Horus, or they're talking to the initiate, and they're saying, hell, it's through the damn idols that you activate the goddamn melanin. Looking at them damn statues and remembering the archetype of the collective unconsciousness which is in you, is in the symbolism and the idol worshippers. So in actuality, Adalabroth was telling the people not to worship the idols because he know that you can tap into your own melanin. And that's what the deal is, the symbol of the golden calf, which is Sophist, which is Hathor, Het-Heru, which is worshipped to this day in India. You see what I'm saying? And that was negative in the Bible by Adalabroth because it's through the damn statues. Because you know yourself, when you look at these Egyptian pictures, it stirs something up in you. That's the first thing why we started getting back into Afrocentricity, is we look at the temples, we look at the Egyptian pictures, you look at all these symbols, and you go off, and that's because that's imagery in your melanin, your genetic memory bank. So the key is to get you away from that and basically show you white figures and just give you one or two little things like your cross, but they took the other spears off. If you take the damn cross off and take the staff of caduceus off and take the ankh off of it, or take the spears of the Kabbalah off, you can't get the real archetypes of the collected consciousness. So what I'm saying, a lot of these symbols, when you just look at them, they invoke power. That's why you got it. That's why you adorn yourself with these things. That's why you adorn yourself with these things. You see the wing and the disc, which is over all the temple doors and all, which is the black dot and different things like that. So, the Syrians, there's a book called Prisms of Lyra, if you can still get it. And they said that in working with the genetic program when they first was creating the beings on Earth, they said the Syrians got the last laugh. They inserted a latent DNA code into the people, which when the vibratory rate rises, which it is doing now, this code is triggered, and all your memory unwinds, making so you eat from the tree of life, which is talking about the black dot. That's why it's interesting. You have to get, if you can, it came back at $21. People need to buy the book. I've been teaching from the book since 1992, and the book was out of print until this year. Ancient Egypt, the Sirius Connection by Murray Hope. Ancient Egypt, the Sirius Connection by Murray Hope. To me, it's a better book than the Sirius Mystery, because she has the gods and the goddesses of the Sirius system in there. Plus, she has a section in there called Syrian Heritage. And in that particular book, she deals with the Syriac architecture that they got from the article from the British Museum that they built Atlanta after. They built Atlanta after. They're now building Charlotte, North Carolina behind this Syriac architecture. Parts of San Francisco with the pyramid is built Syriac architecture. And now new cities is being built all the way even in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. New cities is being built because, you know, the South was the last one to rise up. New cities is being built with Syriac architecture. And even in New York, even when they're adding on to the skyrise and all, they're putting pyramids on buildings. Right here in Philly. That building that was built in Philly. Right. Syriac architecture. Murray Hope's book. Murray Hope's other good book is Atlantis, Myth and Reality. A very good book. Atlantis, Myth and Reality. A very good book. Also, the Peter Tompkins, Secret of the Mexican Pyramids. You get Blue Men from Sirius. The Blue Men from Sirius. The reason why I'm going through this and all because a sister came to me and said, you need to recap a lot of this particular stuff and add it with the new stuff and start recapping and stuff and all, you know, and see how far we've come, or just see, you got to always refresh your memory on what all this stuff is about. Blue Men from Sirius. The same blue men is depicted in the stories of India when you see the blue people. Just that they lighten them up a little bit, but they used to be dark blue, and it just meant black people, the original gods of India. That's why I go see the movie Little Princess. There are all kind of little movies that tell you stuff. Little Princess, in the movie, they when she was in India, and she'd have these visions, she would have these visions of this blue god. And her father went to war and got messed up, and she was in this school and ended up having to be a maid, and she hooked up with the black girl. Yeah, I think so, but but get the new one, because she hooked up with this little black girl and this guy from India, and it's a real good story, but they show the blue men up in there also, too, in the Little Princess and all. Blue-black, you see. You see. You get the word Harmachis, or Harmaku, which means Horus of the Star. Raherukahuti, which is Sirius A, which is the manifestation. Harpocross, which is Sirius B, which is the black dot. And from the Harpocross, you get Raherukahuti. So the Book of Law is made up on 3 chapters. Nut, which is the triple blackness of face. And then she manifests Hadit point, which is Cabdet in Egypt, or the Hadit point, which is the black dot, or it's the Qadi in Arabic that they made a saying and all, but Qadi. And from Hadit you get Raherukahuti. Nut Hadit Raherukahuti, or Nut Hadit Rahakut, which means Newton took a blackness of space, the black dot in you, and your later manifestation is Rahiru Kahudi, which is the silver star is known as Sirius. Is known as Sirius is also. The constellation of Sirius is the chief star, and the original constellation where Sirius was the chief star was known as the Phoenix. And that's where you get your whole your whole Phoenix thing is also talking about also too.
Yeah, also that 5 and 6. That's the Phoenix is the symbol for the 5 degrees, 6 degrees, OTO.
Yeah, right. And you see that in their little symbol also too. Great work, which is the manifestation of the actual, Phoenix, Phoenix also too. So let's go on. Let's see where we at now. Let's see here. Let's go on. Let's see. All right. Let's see what we got. All right. Okay. I deal with some stuff. So now this leads us to this particular part. We're dealing now with UFOs. We're going to deal with some of the things here, and I'm going to deal with an actual book that also came out. The UFOs. You know what? Like I said, if you go back and get the book that you had yesterday, Stairway to Heaven, Zachariah Sitchin, and they show there's a flywheel up in there, and that flywheel that somebody invented in you got the book? Someone invented the flywheel. Yeah, that. Yeah. This book, Stairway to Heaven, which is an excellent book, as well as Wars of God and Man, which is an excellent book also too. But they'll show a flywheel up in here that NASA invented in 1978. And this is one of their designs in 1978 that they invented. Is that showing up? Is that showing up on the monitor? Let me know when you get it. That's it. The flywheel that was invented in 1978 has supposed to be something as an anti-gravity device, and also a certain wheel that they were so happy about. Come to find out, this particular wheel here comes from is over in a museum in Germany. It came out of Egypt. And this thing here, they say it's going to be the future shit to go in spacecraft, and then they got this one come out of Egypt. And then some of the curators in the German museum trying to lie saying it's a bowl. Well, what the hell a bowl got a hole in the damn middle for? It is clearly a device of a spacecraft, and this thing came out of Egypt. Documented in this particular book. Also documented in this particular book, it talks about this ship of Ra that was shipwrecked in the first, or that came down in the first intermediate period, and these people used to come and visit this ship and all, and make a pilgrimage to this particular ship. And by the time the first intermediate period came, the ship was carted off and taken to certain places. But they later on find out that the Muslims make the same period, pilgrimage to Mecca as these people used to make to this particular ship. And which goes in to say that even Honorable Elijah Muhammad says not actually the Kaaba, you know what that is, but they say under the Kaaba in Mecca they got a room full of ancient artifacts. And in Zachariah Sitchin's book they say, well, we got reports that this parts of the ship, this ship of Ra is in under the Kaaba in Mecca. Now, what are the two incidents of these two men saying the same thing? You see, or the same thing. One of, Stairway to Heaven, Zachariah Sitchin, which you need to get all of Zachariah Sitchin's book, the Earth Chronicles. The whole series, the Earth Chronicles and all. It's on page 75. But you want to get the War of God and Man also, too. No, it's more than that now. They got two. They got this Lost Stairway to Heaven, Lost Realms, Lost 12 Planets. No, hold on. It got them in here. Hold on. 12 Planets, Stairway to Heaven, the War of Gods and Men, War of Gods and Men, When Time Began, and then they got a new one that came out last year. There's a new one that came out last year. But also, which is invaluable. But in this particular book here, he even bears witness that dating the pyramids, he tells you that the pyramids was plagiarized And they got a whole section in there, and they said that the pyramids was plagiarized, and Alan H. Gardner, who was the grandfather of Martin Bernal, who also translated the British papyrus, the hieratic papyrus of the British Museum, that said that the white man was the devil, as well as a book called Abduction Extraordinaire. He also has an article in the back of that saying that they forged the name on the pyramids, and they used to do that all the time, because if you get one of the best things, you go to you're going to have to buy it. Go to, you can either get it at Tower Records, you can find it at Tower Records, you can find it at Blockbuster, or you can, Tower Records or Blockbuster or some things. Go, and they got a National Geographic series. Get Egypt, The Eternal Quest, 1982. Buy the video. And in there they'll show how Ramesses, when he came along, he scratched out the cartouches or the sinews of King Tut and put his name on the shit. You know. It might have been, yeah. But that's it's a real good video, and also it'll show the Temple of Seti I, which they tore down and rebuilt when it got the engravings of the white man being created. They show the temples of Seti I in that particular video too. National Geographic Egypt, The Eternal Quest is the one that you need to also get. Also too. They'll talk about the Ben stone in there, or the Ben stone in there, which is the Benu stone, which is the Phoenix stone, which is also in the Orion mysteries. They'll talk about the Ben up in there, which is actually, the Ben stone is actually the black dot. So there's a correlation between the black dot and UFOs, for the simple fact we know that, because the simple fact that, we know this for the simple fact that, the book talked about lunar fluids, which was columns that power spacecraft. So we know that the spacecraft is also angels. Book Angels and Aliens by Thompson, also too. That they talk about that particular part.
Some of those engineers or something go someplace in Egypt and find some kind of spaceship, and they had it set aside as some type of ancient thing that they never could describe. And some of the astronauts or the engineers were able to look at it and say, hey, this is a spaceship. And then they dated it. And it went back thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah, I think they got tons of stuff that they found and they have not revealed. But this was a good little book where they actually show. And here's a picture of one of the things that they got in Egypt here, of a person here in a space capsule in Egypt. And it shows this a space capsule. This is a very good book, this particular book, and all on page 73 of the book. Same book. Also read Wars of God and Men, especially the Egyptian war between Horus and Set. Real good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
During the war, the gods were taking up possession of the pyramid, and the way they got them to surrender was cut off the water supply.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what you said about
the
vitality of water?
Yeah. So, I mean, the Earth Chronicles was a real good book. The first man to speak of UFOs in the 20th century was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the 1930s. And was in the 1930s. Now, the whites started their UFO era after 1947, the Roswell crash. But the UFO information was basically started from Elijah Muhammad after his discovery when he was arrested of the mothership and the blueprints. And the blueprints and all, and the pictures also of these particular, these blueprints also. Another representation of the ancient UFOs, if you get the, let me get you a picture of this. Let me go 1 minute. Let me get a picture of this. If you get any book, let's see here, see if I got any book relating, well, you'll see this. I just want to put it on what you call it. Also, anytime you see the spears on the Kabbalah, these spears on the Kabbalah also represent UFOs. These circles also represent UFOs also. These spears on the Kabbalah, these cephras and stuff. ladders of light represent UFOs also too, and all. But he was the first person and all. Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the first person to start the UFO, and after 1947, it prompted the visit to Malcolm X in prison with the Men in Black, and also inspired the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is a movie that was patterned after Master Farad Muhammad. So when you go, which they also showed the update version of The Day the Earth Stood Still was Independence Day, because on Independence Day they showed the clips of Day the Earth Stood Still in the actual movie. Yeah. So if you rent the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still and go and order the Gnosis magazine, the fall winter issue 1992. So when you get a subscription of Gnosis magazine, they have back issues, and you order the fall winter issue of 1992 Gnosis magazine, and they give in that article of the history of the Nation of Islam, called Black Gods in Inner City, Black Kings or something in Inner City Gods. The history of the Nation of Islam is in there. And you order the Gnosis magazine and compare the life to Master Farad Muhammad in what I think Hakeem Bey is either writing for them or whatever in the Gnosis magazine, which is the white magazine, and compare the life of Master Farad Muhammad and the person in The Day the Earth Stood Still, you will understand that they wrote The Day the Earth Stood Still after the writing after what went on in Master Farad Muhammad, because in the movie they had a worldwide manhunt. In the Nation of Islam they talk about a worldwide manhunt for Master Farad Muhammad. They also talk about he put a problem on the blackboard at UCLA, and in the movie they come and put a problem on the blackboard. And also, and it comes from an original book written on on Master Farad Muhammad that is probably out of print called Stranger on the White House Lawn. Stranger on the White House Lawn. So, and which bears witness this also in the theology of time that they gave Honorable Elijah Muhammad a motorcade, a congressional parade and motorcade down the streets of Washington, D.C. in 1956 or something like that, in the 1950s. And he went to the congressional meeting and doomed them all to hell. And also they tried to kill him when they tried to inject poison in him into the hospital, but it did not work. It washed out his body, but they had a big congressional party one night at a black person. It was in the 70s at a black, a party, even late 60s or the 70s. This black woman was serving the party, and she said, "What y'all partying about?" And these big congressmen saying, "We killed the messenger." But and this was long before he died, but also this is also documented also too. Yeah, and yeah.
He had quite a few diseases, but he was able to heal them.
Yeah, So the New Age, the white New Age, is focused on all kinds of new constellations, and they all agree, and they all say that these different UFO contacts are from all types of other constellations. But in order to get the accuracy of what the UFO phenomenon is about, you got to deal with ancient stuff, and ancient stuff only talk about Sirius and basic little part of the Orions and maybe mention of the Pleiades. So, but basically Sirius. That's why our UFO information is authentic, for the simple fact that we got civilization documents to back the damn thing up. You see what I'm saying? And that's the difference between us and these New Agers trying to say that other constellations, so in actuality they can somehow, sickly in their mind, try to justify somebody coming to pick their asses up. You see what I'm saying? And also this is a plot to actually cover up the real extraterrestrial people who are the black race also too. Which is also a form of the Dagon people. And there's some people saying, well, why is it that they have certain things, which is interesting, get Gerald Massey's book. Get Gerald Massey's Book of the Beginnings, and Ancient Egypt Light of the Ancient Egypt Light of the World, and all where they talk about the they talk about let's see if I can find this. where they talk about the draconian tradition. Why is it that you get books like the encyclopedias, and they'll say things like you are old as that's so old as draconian, that your draconian ways. That meant that the draconian was an actual dynasty that predated Egypt. The draconian or Typhonian dynasty that predated Egypt and all, that rose and fell even before the first monuments was even built. And all. So you get the word Dagon. Well, when you hear the Necronomicon talking about Dagon, and you feel that these things are nothing, this stuff is not real, but hell, all you got to do is go look in the encyclopedia and look up Dagon, and they'll tell you fish man. And they'll show a person that this fish man that you see is honest in the serious mystery also, too. Well, if these things are not real, why in the hell have they got them in the damn encyclopedia? Yeah, Draco and all of this and all. And they tell you about Pleiades and Orion also, too, in damn Job. In Job and also. They tell you about that also, too, and all. So, they you know, and, so these are things to also consider, which makes our stuff authentic when you deal with our things. Now, I want to get to one thing I want to deal with at this particular time. I don't know if the book is still in print. It might still be in print, but you can write down the name and see if this person still has this thing in print. The name of the book is Elijah by William H. Stevens. William H. Stevens, Elijah. And I'm going to deal with some of this. And I'm going to read the, if I can, if it will permit me to slow down, I'm going to read the epilogue in here, because I'm going to, and all. Yeah, Elijah by William H. Stevens. It was written a year after the ascension of Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Also, this book that is in print is how much does this book cost? This particular book that is in print is called The Tales of Elijah the Prophet by P.E.N.I.N.N. S-C-H-R-A-M. So I don't, don't ask me how to spell that shit. Piana? No, P-E-N-I-N-N-A-H. Is that Piana? P-E-N-I-N-N-A-H. That's it. P-E-N-I-N-N-A-H. C-H, no, S-C-H-R-A-M. And it's a Jewish woman, and it's called Tales on the Prophet Elijah. This one is in print. I saw it. I see it at Borders and Barnes and Nobles. And all Tales on the Prophet Elijah, and all is one that I know is in print. But this particular one is talking about Elijah. They're going to be talking about Elijah that goes up against Jezebel. Now Jezebel in here is represented as America. These are the characters. H-A-A-B, Ahab, is represented as black people. This book by William H. Stevens was written the year after Elijah ascended, and it was written the year 76, the same year that the Sirius mystery was finally completed and written. Also, the same year that the famous record of George Clinton, The Mothership Connection, came out with Swing Down Sweet Chariot and Let Me Ride. And all this in 1976 also came out that same year, and came out, which we're now in the 20th year anniversary of the Mothership Connection of George Clinton. And the Sirius Mystery also too came out the same year also. And so in the particular book, it talks about Elijah going against Jezebel. Now Jezebel here, even though it's created as a woman, is actually talking about its mythology, and it's talking about America. So now, so I'm gonna read some of the part in here, and we're gonna see what the actual characters come out to be. So Jezebel is the government. Baal, which we know Baal is ancient, is another religion of Samaria, and it has nothing to do. But here, these characters don't look and register them as ancient things, because this is all future. Jezebel is the government. Baal is Christianity. Jeroram is the army, the United States Army. Jezreel is the capital, Washington, D.C. Ahab is the black Uncle Tom leaders. Elijah is the reformer and the forerunner. And Jehu, Jehu, Jehu is Heru to Christ, which is also in second First Kings. I think it's in Second Kings where they say Elijah will anoint Jehu or Heru king over all of Israel. So right in the Bible they tell you who the damn Christ is. You see what I'm saying? And if Elijah is the forerunner, he's going to announce somebody, or anoint somebody. So it says Jerome reigned for 10 years. So that is either he's more of the army or the commander of the army. And it says he was an able king, but not a competent as his father. War was the pattern of his rule. Trouble in Syria continued, while Mesha and Moab took advantage of the circumstances to capture much of Israel's territory in the later days of Jordan. We're going to explain all this in a minute, because it gets interesting now. Think of these stories here as going on right now. Now, this is only 2 damn pages, and we can get this Xerox, and you can have the 2 pages to try to understand this, other than the whole book, because it's got the epilogue that tells you the whole book in 2 damn pages, and that's probably all you need. Probably all you can stand now these days anyway. Elijah became the most significant prophet of Israel. Isis, Ra, and El, which means sun, and also means star. Elohim, Israel, which means black people. Elijah became the most significant prophet of Israel. His fame spread beyond Israel's borders, especially to Syria. He was aggressive sometime and harsh. That means Elijah came and told you who the white man was, the devil. A heavenly involved in the politics of his day. Well, hell, if you go and look at the Nation of Islam with Malcolm X and that whole 9 yards, obviously it was involved in the politics of that day. You see, if you read this stuff now, remember now, this, first of all, this don't have nothing to do with history, because this never happened. This was an ancient Jewish manuscript, and it got nothing to do with the white Jews. So obviously it was talking about the future. Like we told you, most of that stuff was written for the future, because in Egypt they would have the same story, just the names would change. It would be Tahuti or some other person or whatever, you see. Always read ancient scriptures now, because they were always written for the day of apocalypse. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and we say this because when you look at these Nag Hammadi scriptures of Gnosticism, they got 10 different apocalypse stories. And then you look and you say, well, hell, the entire book is apocalypse. So it meant that the book was meant for today, in time. In time. Now, he was also involved, he was hard and aggressive and involved in politics of his day. He established a school for prophets. Now look at this. And you know that they got to be talking about Elijah of now. Because remember now, you got to listen to what I'm saying, because the Jews, the fake European Jews, is still looking for the prophet Elijah, which in the Gods of Eden by William Bramley, he facetiously say they'll never receive. Because he know that ain't no, they fake Jews. Right? So it's got to be talking about this Elijah here, which the Jews went to Ebony, went to Jet magazine in 1993 and made it change his name from Elijah Poole to Wilford Poole to try to throw people off. But he was born Elijah Poole and was later on Elijah Muhammad. Now, Elijah established a school for prophets that became both community and seminary for them. Well, he established the Nation of Islam, right? which was a school for his people. They had to learn the lessons of enrollment and what is all this, who is it, and all these lessons in the problems books. It became a community because they sold the paper in the community, bean pies and all that kind of stuff, and a seminary for the people who were actually inside of the order. I'm reading this shit and I'm like, man, and it's funny because it was spiritual one day. I said, go by the store, I'm going to walk in here and I want to find something. And I was in this used bookstore and couldn't find nothing, and on my way out, I saw this little book on this side of the shelf. And when I got back to the car, I asked my sister, I said, was I supposed to get this? And she said, yes. And when I read it about Jezebel, and I said, this is an old sexist book. And I threw it down, and then it came, and the Spirit had me go back in the room and pick it up, and I said, oh, this ain't about, I'm dealing with the characters, knowing better, and this is talking about prophetic, and they just put names just to explain things. You see what I'm saying? So it said it became a school to establish a school of prophets, and became both community and seminary to them. Now listen. The beginning of the, now look, on the cover of the book they say Elijah, he defied Jezebel, he defied America. He thundered warnings to Ahab, so he gave warnings. He told them, for all of America, he wrote that, message to the black man, which was us, and became the greatest prophet of all, the greatest of all prophets. A powerful biblical story that will live forever. That will live forever. For 3 years, Israel baked under a relentless sky. Now, let's deal with some things here. The prophet anointed Hazael, king of Syria, in fulfillment of Elijah's charge, but he wept when he performed that act. Elijah told the people that he was leaving and he was going to set his son up, Warabdeen Muhammad, over the nation of Islam. Warabdeen tore down the damn thing and put white people in the place, put the American flag on the goddamn paper, and did all this. And some of the people couldn't take it, and so some of the people became alcoholics to this day because it broke them. They had this man, they had this powerful organization. He brought in these white people, and it broke them. And some of the people never recovered from it. Some people are alcoholics and drug addicts this day because they couldn't take. So they said that the prophet anointed Hazael, king of Syria, of the fulfillment of Elijah's charge, but he wept when he performed the act. He knew the grief of Ben-Ahab's successor would bring to Israel. Now, Hazael returned to a ailing Ben-Hadad and smothered him with a wet blanket and claimed the throne, which means which was actually black people. And he told him, he said, my father wasn't nothing but a con man. And the smothering, he brought in all these white people and all this kind of thing. Jehu, who is the anointed, who is the Christ, anointing would be postponed. Now, Honorable Elijah Muhammad left in 1975. He said, after me comes God. This is what he said. After me comes God. You won't get another reformer. So if the messenger up there, if Farrakhan up there, you know he's a fake one. Because he's still trying to reform America. He said, after me comes God. But if you get the book, the Armageddon script by what's the guy named Armageddon? Peter Lemmership. Armageddon script. And in that particular part, they say that Elijah is supposed to come and purify the nation. Well, you purify the nation, you got a barrel full of apples, you tell them the apples is rotten in there, which was, he told the white man was the devil and got him off the pork and all that. Eat to Live. Which Eat to Live is a book now that the weightlifters use today. They can't use vegetarian books because when you lifting them damn weights and stuff, they have to have some protein, they have to have that meat. So the book that all the weightlifters used today is Eat to Live Armalage Muhammad, the US-18 and all the weightlifters around the world, as well as all dietary diets at one time. They used Eat to Live. You see what I'm saying? They used that book. So now, he left in 1995. He's supposed to announce the Messiah. They said he put off Jehu's anointing, which is us, our anointing, was postponed since Jerome, which was the army, which was a form of the government, had shown sympathy, and perhaps mainly through political motives, for Yahweh's reform. And what do you mean by that is, now, you're not dealing with the names. Jerome here is a branch of the government. He showed sympathy, perhaps mainly through politics motives. In 1970, they put off the postponement because they gave us jobs. They let us into the Senate. They let us into mayors. They did all this kind of thing, and it was postponed. You see what I'm saying? You got that? But Jezebel, the queen, which is America, the mother and power, the mother power in Israel, because we are in the mother power, which is what you call it. And it says, as long as she lived, Jerome's effort could only be taken, whatever his motives. Now, let's deal with some things here. Now, at last, while the king recognized Jezreel is in his Washington, D.C. Don't worry, we're making a tape so you can go back and understand what I'm talking about here. And we'll Xerox these 2 pages so you can study it yourself. Jezreel wounds inflict in yet a battle of Ramoth Gallic, Elijah sent a prophet's son to the battlefield to anoint Jehu. So this is going all the way up into the future. Anyway, to make a long story short, what happens here is Jehu sends this particular army out. They go to the battlefield and they kill Jeroram, which is the army. They kill this particular army. Then they head to the capital, which is Jezreel, to go get and go topple Jezebel, who is the American government. So they head to Washington, D.C. So Jehu is anointed. As soon as he anointed, which is the Christ, they go to this battlefield to kill the army. They defeat the army, and when they defeat the army, they head to Washington, D.C. to topple the government. The damn government is hiding out. But the government got a group of black people that's up in there that's close to her. When the group of black people find out that the other black people is doggone just standing up, they holler out and make this doggone noise or whatever. And anyway, they come and they throw her out they throw her out of her castle in America, basically, and dethrone her, and what happened is she falls and she breaks her neck. Anyway, what happens in the actual story is Elijah saved the body for some kind of reason, but at that time mad dogs come and devour the body and they can't even find it. And the moral to the story is, in this particular story, is that Jehu is later on anointed and Israel rises, basically. And this is it's like a 3-page epilogue out of this book. If the book is out of print, we're going to take this little 3-page, and I'm just going to write down the characters of the story. And then if you know history or whatever type thing, you can actually go back and actually, and I should have did it today. I could put all 3 pages on one page, you know. And basically, what you can do is you can study it for yourself and line it up. And that's what the deal is basically what we're dealing with here is all biblical stories has got to be read into the future and not historical. So you're going to go back and read Joshua, which is Joshua is Ishua, and Ishu is a legba, which is a form of the Christ. Ishu is a legba. So Joshua or Jeshua, and Jeshua is the Christ, Yeshua, which is Hebrew for Jesus, and Ishu is Yoruba for Legba, God of the crossroads. See how this stuff all lines up? And Joshua and his army, they go into Jericho, and Jericho, which is America, walls come tumbling down. So you're going to read Deuteronomy. You're going to read parts of Deuteronomy 3:27, chapter 3, verse 27 to 37. And also you're going to read Joshua chapter 1, verse 7. Verse 7. And also they talk about Moses and Elijah and Joshua. Moses, who would be Elijah, and Joshua, who would be Heru. And basically they show you these particular things that's things that's actually going on if you read these books in the future. If you read these particular books in the future and all. But you might be able to find this book. It might still be in print because it's a very good book if you want to read the whole story and all. But I just got it from the epilogue, and I guess they wanted me to see it just to even have an epilogue up in the book. They wanted me to get this particular thing. Like I said, the other movie that you need to go see is Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travel is taken from is Gulliver's Travel, and it's now on double video with. And we talking about the new one with the guy. What's the guy from Cheers? Ted Danson and Mary Steenburgen, who is his wife. You need to go pick that up and all, because Gulliver's Travel came from an ancient Egyptian fable of a guy who went to the other dimension and recorded what he saw in the hereafter or the heaven realm and came back. So you need to go get Gulliver's Travels and stuff. You see. Also, I think that's in a book, The Wandering Jew. Also, I think they talk about that. Also, they talk about that too. In that particular book. If anybody who has Geromancy, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, there's going to be a chapter. It might be. Go to the back of the book and look up the Sektek boat. He called it the second boat. It's the Sektek boat. And look up every chapter you can find on this mothership, which is the one that's out here now. Look up all that if you do have the Ancient Egypt, Light of the World. Go to that chapter and look up the Sektek boat, and in that chapter there's going to be a papyrus in there where there's a guy asking to drive the mothership. He said, "Oh, let me drive the mothership. Let me drive the ship, and let me drive the ship to the west, where our people have their heads down to the grass, down to the ground, steadfast and praying, and do not know how to lift themselves up. Oh, let me go drive to the west and tackle the west, or tackle the army or the government." And then they say the scene shifts in the papyrus, and they say he tackled them and they all free, and that type of thing. Another part in there is Sothis, New Year's Day, Sothis on New Year's Day. The birth of Sothis on New Year's Day, bringing the babies, Sothis, which is Heru, Hathor, and she's bringing the baby between her knees, between the knees of Sothis. That's what you saw last night, too, some knees. Between the knees of Sothis, and she brings this particular baby on New Year's Day, and then they show a particular part where the ships of Ra come, and they tell the people, get on board. Get on board also too. Also, you know, there's that part in the Egyptian book of the Secret Gnostics by Jean de Rest on page 70 or 71, where they talk about these ships of the sun and the moon manned by fantastic beings. Jesus took his followers up, and the heavens was immediately open to them. And once the heavens was open to them, amidst them staring were ships of the sun and moon manned by fantastic beings. Manned by fantastic beings also too. Yes, in that little yellow book, which is the one to get. The little yellow book will come in 4 or 5 days. Now, I might add that one book that you must get, you either pay $70, $90 for the 2-volume sets for Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, or you can pay $10 for the yellow book will come in 4 or 5 days of Geromancy.
which is the only explainable Book of the Dead printed. Geromancy is the only one that knew mythology enough to understand, knew Egyptian mythology enough. No one else knew Egyptian mythology like Geromancy, because he was trained by Sekhmet, who appeared to him as a black woman. So you need to get that Book of the Dead, Geromancy, while A&B book publications for $9 while it's still in print. While it's still in print. Also, they said that, and in the Jean Duress book, they said that Jesus actually used the ritual to open up his followers in the ritual of the mothership, which is also found in the Leighton Papyrus, a little $5 book called the Leighton Papyrus, Dover, a magical papyrus, the Leighton Papyrus, a little $5 book. And it's interesting because I went and found the book and did the little ritual. I just do rituals of just reciting them with a candle. And I recited it, and the day I recited it was the first time I felt my third eye jump open that night after reciting that ritual of the opening of the heavens in the Leighton Papyrus. Yeah, page 74 of the Leighton Papyrus or something like that. I don't know, you don't have to order it from Barnes & Noble. You know, I got it in Atlanta, years ago. And all. But it's a little $5 book, the Leighton Papyrus.
Oh, no. Go to the black bookstore. Go to, no.
They got all kind of spells and stuff like that. Spells on love spells is in Egypt. These are Egyptian spells, love spells, how to keep a person from messing with you, how to get rid of unwanted guests. Leighton Papyrus, yeah. Yeah, Leighton Papyrus also. And also get that. Also, there's a little small book you can get called Elric by Michael Moorcock. Elric. You want to get some of those books, little paperback books. Elric, Michael Moorcock. He talk about the gods of chaos. The character Elric of Melbourne, Elric of Melbourne. Is a fantasy created by the British fantasist Michael Moorcock. Elric is the most enduring creation, a doomed albino with white skin and red eyes. His blood is different. His blood is different. His life is filled with anguish. Yeah. Tongue twister. He's anguish. And he's a miserable being. Eric is the emperor at this particular time of Melbourne, which is the white man is ruling over our world now. An ancient pre-human empire in decline. He is cursed to destroy everything that he loves. Everything that he loves. Now, Elric, the saga of Elric turns to the alliance and the laws, the alliance of the laws, and he comes to hate all gods for their manipulation of the mortal existence. Elric hopes for a world without gods and magic, and takes mastery over magic, a mystery over human lives. He dies attempting to bring about such a world. A world near ballot into being. Now, I want to show you something here. Unlike most fantasies, most fantasies like Howard Carter's Conan the Barbarian, Eric is the epitome of civilization and refined, sensitive saucer, who instead of an ale-swinging, muscle-bound brute like Conan, he is an intellectual scholar compelled to frightful actions because of his own dark face, rather than through desire and riches of mortal gain, because his blood is thin. Because he has thin blood, Eric is a nature weak, sickly, kept alive. Now look at this, kept alive and alert only through sorcerous potions and muttered runes. So we're still talking about alchemy and melanin. You see what I'm saying? Alchemy and melanin and all this type of thing, you see. And so, and it says, Eric gains Stormbringer, a demonic weapon that drains the souls from those he slays, that gives part of their life force to the albino. In the Stormbringer, Eric finds the energy he needs, but at a terrible price. A constant battle between Eric and his sentence. Howling runes words drive much a saga. So basically, Eric is a doomed albino. He has this weapon called a strong Stormbringer that drains the souls, which is the melanin, from those he slays, that gives a part of the life force to the albino. You understand what I'm saying? Which is melanin. Why? Because his blood is thin. Eric, by nature, is weak and sickly, kept alive part through sorcerous potions, which the potion quality is the melatonin, and muttered runes, which is magic. You see what I'm saying? Is magic. You see what I'm saying? So this is just an introduction of Eric. It's a child's game, but you can go to the science fiction section of Barnes and Noble, and they got little small books called Eric or Melonbone. And Melonbone is the ancient kingdom, Melanin Bone in Eric. And he's an albino kept alive. And he drains melanin from the people to be kept alive and all. But he's working for damn Adalabra. Although they say forces of chaos, he's working for Adalabra to destroy the gods. He want a world without God, because who are the gods? Us. Little small books called Elric of Melon Bone. You see them? Michael Moorcock. What you want to do is you want to go. They sell them in Bardav's and Barnes and Noble. You go to the science fiction section and you look up Michael Moorcock, and he has a whole Michael Moorcock, Morcock, Michael Moorcock. And they have big volume books on new versions that he's doing now, because this Michael Moorcock motherfucker done hooked up with them Book of Nod people from Atlanta, them vampire people. So now he writes for them now. Well, this is a children's thing, but you're really not gonna get the story and all the stuff out. I just read you one passage, but you want to get the Elric, you want to get the paperback of Elric, because these little paperbacks will give you the whole story, and they go through all of that. So this is a game book, so it only gives you just one page of the story, and then you got to go, and they got all these little games and stuff, and computer. But you want to go to that in Michael Moorcock, and he used to write for the people, Elric of Melonbone, Dragon Isles and Dream City. The dragons is. So you're going to see Melonbone, it's called Eric of Melonbone. But just go and you'll see little paperback books for like $4 a piece, $4 or $5 a piece on Michael Moorcock. He works for damn Adalabra in him. You see what I'm saying? But the key is, the guy in these little smaller books is the ones he wrote in the 1960s. Since then, which is that's all you need, the stuff on Elric. Now he got bigger volume books now, which is hardback books on newer fantasies. But he's hooked up with this group called White Wolf Book Company, the one I told you that wrote the Book of Nod, these vampires down in Atlanta, Georgia. And this guy's from England, Michael Moorcock. You see what I'm saying? And also, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, that little thing, you know, it just tells the story of this vampirism or just draining the soul. Another movie to see of the draining the souls from the people, the essence from the people, is their mortal combat. Mortal combat. Mortal Kombat, which, might I add, put out by Ted Turner. You see what I'm saying? Mortal Kombat, on which they drained the essence, which is melanin. And if you notice in the movie, they only took 2 black people's souls. They took the Asian boy and all, but they showed you. They might have took them, but they showed you 2 black people melanin and took their souls. Well, I mean, it ain't a matter. It ain't for enjoyment. It's for damn shit. Shit is for damn education. I mean, you ain't at a damn be thrilled and fun. I mean, what the fuck? And they turn you off. I mean, you know, this ain't no damn party. I mean, this is for education and all. I mean, it ain't for the liking. This ain't no damn Mary Poppins. Well, shit, at the end, you know, shoot, at the end, the gods of chaos came and killed everybody. No, I've seen worse movies than that. I mean, you know. But the movie Mortal Kombat is the movie, you know, that deals with that same, taking that melanin from them and all that type of thing. And that's what the Elrics, the little books and stuff. So most of the stuff you're going to find going to be in the fantasy section, the science fiction and comic book section.
And the main thing about that is facing your own fear. Facing not being able to accept the fact that things are.
Right. Plus, I mean, if you don't, see, first of all, the man is not going to put history in regular academia that you can go to he's going to put stuff, he's going to hide it, and he hides it in the children's books. You see? They hide it in the children's books. You see what I'm saying? Huh? Because they're not children's books. They hide in the children's book because they know a Negro ain't going to look at no child's book. And then they tell their people, you know where to go to get the shit, now get on. And the grown people go, you go to comic book stores. There's another book put out by this white wolf called Cetes. Now this is the evil set typhon of a Adalabrock. This is a Adalabrock, and this is a Adalabrock's children called Cetes. So this is set typhon that rebels against Ra. And they are a race of vampires. Adalabrock is the guy I talked about here yesterday. The God that sets over the earth, that rules the earth, which you think is God. The creator, the God, you know, the jealous God. I am a jealous God. So in here he's going to be set typhon. It's called Cetes, and it's this race of vampires. And in here. Which is talking about taking melanin, the magical substance. You see. Oh, it can show you the kindred. So why you say, what is this white people fascination with vampires? That's because that's them. They are vampires. That's what the whole thing is about. So let's go into a question and answer also, too. Go into a question and answer. Yeah.
Can we relate any of this, or should we relate any of this to the heart program?
To the what?
The heart program. Going back to the book, Angels Don't Play With Heart, where they're using electronic phenomena that they fashion for weather control, and for mental control. In other words, we're talking about virtual reality. When you take some situations and show them to children whose minds are infertile, but fertile enough to be influenced. This is like virtual reality to them.
Yeah.
And instill fear. And give them the idea that this person that this albino person is larger than life.
Well, see, also you got to realize, our war is a war on the inside. So we don't too much worry about what's going on the outside. We can't pretty much help that shit. I mean, because he's too advanced. Like a guy said, when in Vietnam, when they can take a bomb and blow up a damn house and leave the house standing and everybody in the house dead, it's over when you talk about the outside. That's his realm, and he can win that war. And I understand there's certain things he's doing, but our battle is on the inside to find that nuclear bomb that is 3 times greater than his nuclear bomb. So what you got here? Let me explain what alchemy is really talking about here. Alchemy is talking about the same alchemical components that they use at 3 Mile Island, you see, and Wormwood, which is, what's the name of that meltdown place in Russia? Chernobyl. The same nuclear phenomenon that they try to build outwardly is in you with melanin. Melanin comprises of every single compound in the universe is in melanin. What is a bomb? A bomb splits atoms. What is atom or the atum in Egypt? That's melanin, the black dot. One small atomic point. Hadit is one small atomic point. The Hadit point, the Bindu seed, the seed of Set, the seed of Israel, the seed of Ra, the son of Ra, the S-U-N of Ra. So the point on what we're trying to do right here is this. We're trying to get off a divine spark. First person to get the divine spark off will explode. You're just going to blow up. You see, you're going to explode. And when you explode, the rest of the black race will explode too, because the same element is because if you got 10 gas trucks parked by each other with a goddamn open hole, if one blow up, all gonna blow up. And that means the gods will be released again. And we're gonna have a killing party. So what we're talking about here is, we're talking about AWAS physics. And the AWAS physics is talking about alchemical components of melanin and talking about an explosion. We are now working towards a nuclear explosion, and I'm very close. I'm weeks, if not months away from exploding my shit. I know it. Because the Spirit came to me and told me, said, we told you last year it'll be over when the sun inside the earth blow up. Now, they said it all last summer. We told you to be, and then Osiris is Greek for Sirius. Sirius is inside of all of us because the original creator took an essence of a dew of light or a spark and put in all of us. So you blowing up is the sun inside of the earth, because the earth is a hologram. The only thing that's down here is the gods. So what we're talking about doing here is we're talking about exploding. So our task is just as advanced as NASA, the Pentagon, and all that shit. But with our stuff and stuff, their stuff is mere toys compared to ours. So we're talking about exploding. The gods repenting their sin. Sin comes from the word skin, which means restriction. You repent your sins, which means you explode. The real Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory. A cosmic explosion. And that's what we're getting at. And I'm very close myself. You see what I'm saying? I hope somebody get it before me, but I'm working on it because I have the mindset for it. You see what I'm saying? Because I know what to do as far as I'm close to this particular thing. Yeah, the white boy know what to do, but he ain't got the melanin. So therefore, he can't do it. So like I said, he has all the knowledge in the world, but he don't have the light. We got no knowledge, but we got all the light.
So he don't want to destroy heaven anyway.
Basically, no. Basically, no. That's why he's building other bombs to destroy us, to keep us from destroying heaven, his heaven. And also, that's what the key is. It's a cosmic nuclear explosion. A cosmic nuclear explosion, and that's what we're talking about here. Huh? When it explodes, you would be free. See, we must think of ourselves as not as humans in the form of this physical body. We got to think of ourselves as advanced alien beings, so remotely advanced until to think of what we think of as everyday life is not only a joke. You understand what I'm saying? It's downright stupid. And all and stuff. So we advanced alien beings. So all this alien stuff that they're talking about, Independence Day was nothing but a fight against the black man. That's when what's his name grabbed his head, and pulled his dreadlocks. But as usual, they used the nigger and the Jew, which symbolizes, even though it was a white Jew, they used the nigger and the Jew to do the damn dirty work. Because them was the only fools that had the melanin to kill somebody. You see what I'm saying? You see, so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about trying to get our minds to another realm of thinking. Another realm of thinking. You see what I'm saying? And everybody, most of the people is still stuck in even some of the people stuck in metaphysical, they still trying to deal with. See, if you notice, most of the people are stuck in metaphysical. Some of the other ones talking, they trying to deal with. Everybody trying to get a certain amount of power to make your life better. A power over somebody. We talking about ending this thing. You must look, Bob. Look. 1981, you had Excalibur came out. You had Clash of the Titans came out. You had Anwar Sadat died. You got Reagan got his ass killed and they cloned him. Bobby E. Wright got killed, died, made psychopaths, racist white people. Atlanta child murders went down. You had Mount St. Helens went down. And in 1981, Bob Marley died. And when Bob Marley died, his last album, Uprising, what did he say? He said the only solution is total destruction. That's the ultimate prophecy right there. So you ain't need to look for no other shit. Only solution is total destruction. Now, in 1981, I heard that shit, I was scared as hell. I can't even think about that. But now I know now, the only solution is total destruction because we can't die. We are dead now. Now, I'm trying to live. So that's what's going down. You see, only solution is total destruction. You see. And that's what the deal is. That's what the deal. If he left any prophecy, that's one of the main ones right there. You see. And so that's what. So give me some more questions.
Well, this waking up spiritual-wise, this is on the busting force of the coming forth within. The light of the spark coming to the full manifestation.
Yeah.
It's like we're being giants within this body of
right.
the land.
Right.
Of us black people will be free.
Yeah.
In other words, it will trigger us, really to know who we really are.
Yeah, because you ain't going to have that physical body that's blocking you that's going to keep you from knowing you. As long as you register into this, you never know your true self. Right. You are inside of a body and thinking this body is you. This is called a shell in the Kabbalah. You see what I'm saying? You see. So we getting people to read to start thinking of another thing, but people are still fighting because even people in metaphysical are saying I want juice and I want all this. See, you thinking of being like Superman, where you still have the physical body. This has got to go. Now, anyway, few people I can even tell this to that could even bear witness, and it should be you because you should be willing to try anything now. As tired as we are, you know what I'm saying? As tired as we are and all, you know what I'm saying? So that within itself and all, Yeah, you see. And we talking about a real deal transition or a damn party. And like I said in the book, Egyptian Heaven and Hell. Or you can get the little small book, Egyptian Religion by E. Wallace Boyd. And in there they got a part where they show all the damn food that they're going to be having. And they literally be having a damn party. They have a party. They got all the food that these people will be having and all this. And basically, it's symbolic of the way we going to be partying and stuff. The Necronomicon, they say they're going to have a big party, and they're just going to blaspheme and kill across the land. What that means, you rebelling against this damn beast of a god, and you killing all of his creation. And the
Is there two types of dimensions? This is thinking of Egyptian magic.
yeah,
When they describe the Book of the Dead,
right,
they are also describing different dimensions. Like them that
Yeah.
are listening to masters and
Uh-huh.
prophets,
yeah,
they're in like in the Southland, like in the
Uh-huh.
land of the desert,
Mhm.
talking about on the other side. And different people that are in different degrees within their minds, they're in certain levels.
yeah,
The Book of the Dead.
right,
And according to how well you progress on this land, you're still in certain dimensions, but you're not with your people. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, actually, what it is different progress. It's different parts that the soul takes in going up the cosmic ladder. Also, too, yeah. But it is different dimensions. You have to take out the land part and all, and just try to look at it as different states of consciousness. States of consciousness. Also, too.
Could this verse be that we are not only to reclaiming back what we have? If the Bible and some of the wording is true, that the heaven is coming down on earth.
Mm-hmm.
If earth is reversed,
Mm-hmm.
then we're here to reclaim that which is lost.
Yeah, but it's more of a coming over than it is coming down. You see, it's kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like all points. They say all levels and all planes will be mixed together, and heaven will be mixed with hell, which means it's all going to just come into one point, one particular point and all, is what it's talking about there. So you, it's kind of hard to explain because you can't explain it in this mind, but the best is to try to get the best understanding and a pretty good idea. And when you go to a certain understanding, that will lead you to another understanding. Certain things you're not going to be able to understand in the physical body. You understand? That's why most religions just tell you about peace with happiness forever, reign forever and stuff like that. Just let you know, they said, because when the spirits came, they said, you don't understand. What we talking about is the pleasure is greater than anything that you can perceive of in your life. Indescribable pleasure. But but for the mere fact, but the mere fact that we are hastening the end. We are saying, when is it over? You see what I'm saying? And you know, is beautiful within itself. You see, it's beautiful within itself.
When they use that terminology, that what was it? I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a Masonic, and he's no longer in it. But he was saying it's reversed. He said when we look up in heaven, he said no, it's the reverse. But I'm learning and understanding and watching people and observing people. This shut down secret society. If heaven is reversed, then how in the world can I stand on top of my head and my feet is supposed to be? Reverse means I got to turn up and come back down.
Yeah, but I think you're still looking. I think you're still looking, but I think it's confusing because you're looking outwardly. You talking about this and this is it's inwardly.
Reverse is the in, and not the upside and down, up and down of it, but the in and out of it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So when you're looking at it,
He's speaking of spiritual wise.
well, when the person is telling you that everything is reversed,
But he could not be speaking spiritual wise because if he's under Masonic, because when I talked to him about a dollar block, he was staring me down. He just thought I had lost my mind.
Well, he don't know nothing. Well, see, first of all, wait. First of all, he's a black man, right? First of all, just get one thing straight. Black Masonry is the same as Holy Sanctified Church. See, we too often add too much. My damn grandfather was a 33rd degree and that motherfucker couldn't even read. They go, man, in Mullins, where I'm from, they take a nigga off the street at damn 9 o'clock in the morning, and by damn 5 o'clock that nigga a Mason. That ain't got that don't have nothing to do with no masonry. That's fake shit. You see, that's drinking liquor and driving cab. You see, all that's just some yeah. Yeah. Basically, that's what it is. The earth doesn't exist. All it is, you know what it is? We're sitting, let's put it this way. Plus, you got to realize this. We're sitting inside of a big dream. And that's why you can't comprehend shit, because you using dream material to comprehend that is real. The physical does not exist. It's only a series of events that don't exist. You are sitting inside of a dream. It's just that you're born in this damn dream, and this is all you know, so it's real to you. This is a dream. Dream time. So when they talk about dreamland, that's the real deal. So when you dream, you really are awake. It's just that you don't have anything consciously to register the dream, so the dream can only register what you've been taught to register, and sometimes it come out crazy. So you go to melanin land when you go to sleep. That's why you see the gargoyles. They sleep during the day. They wake during the night. Gargoyles are black people. You asleep during the day. You wake during the night. You the only ones awake right now. You the only ones on the earth awake right now because you are speaking of things that you experience while you sleeping. You see what I'm saying? That you experience while you sleeping. Right. You asleep when you awake. It's all backwards. You asleep when you wake, and you wake. It ain't. There's no such thing as space and time.
I understand that, but you know,
all is an illusion.
Most black people, when they teach in code. Because black people have been shut down in slavery, and they don't have the education of going anywhere since they had no gold when they were young, and to reach a high plateau, it's cut down in code. And people think because they gain a little bit of knowledge that the average person who is very psychic don't understand nothing because they're coded.
Plus, our people are egomaniacs too and all, and they can't really get nothing and all because true knowledge cannot open itself up to people who don't die, basically, period. You know.
Because, say for instance, for myself, being a dreamer of dreams all my life, and I've traveled many times the universe, anything I wanted to know, I was able to go back in time. But people that had the knowledge thought they was a little psychic, to talk and what.
Because they didn't have.
Told me nothing. They shut it up.
Because
and you know what?
They only had half truth.
Right.
And when you have a half of a damn truth, but we know they had half truth, but it's a fact to hell. All this shit here is new. We just getting this stuff.
Now, I grew up under God's ministers that dealt and walked. And the same stuff that we're learning about now, this is back in the 60s. There was two guys. They knew what was going down. We would stand on the corner. They jump in the spirit. We need a cab jumpsuit. But they were supposed to show me what to do, and they did not. They kept it.
Because they truly didn't know. They knew, but they truly didn't know.
They didn't have the confidence in themselves because
they didn't, because it was jealousy thing.
They didn't know. They truly didn't know. To know is to be, and they truly didn't know.
Because it was about using.
You see.
Then the angel of the Lord at that particular time. Yeah, because even though the church was ran on the dollar broth, even God's people that were in that church made it possible for me, because when the time for me to come out, it said, shake the dust off your feet and come on out.
Hello.
And angels stood. Many times I've seen angels of Michaels and Gables and how tall and how high they were coming down when a message came down for me to do something, but I was able to deliver a message to them. that they were Jews.
Well, also, that wasn't their incarnation to do it. See, you got to realize it wasn't their incarnation to do what they're supposed to do. You incarnated to do a specific thing.
Yeah,
They was not, so they could get the knowledge and totally do something different wrong. Take, for instance, there was a guy, like I said, there was a guy there was a guy that was in the church, and he was getting ready to do his main sermon, and the Spirit told him, "Get out of here right now." And he got out, and he said, and that was about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He said it wasn't up until he got into this knowledge, until he tapped into and his higher self came and told him, you were a preacher in your past life, and you had already done the fundamentalistic thing.
Yeah.
And so you supposed to pass on now, and the reason why we let you go through that stuff then is so you wouldn't get caught up in it now. And now that's the reason why we told you to get out of there, because you were supposed to get with this now. You see, brother in Indiana, and so he's into this now. He works with a pendulum, which is another thing that people need to start doing too. Another system of divination is buy you a pendulum, or you can make a pendulum out of anything. A pendulum ain't nothing but a string and something on the bottom of that shit. And get that book, the pendulum book, yeah, which is that's one too. But get the pendulum book by Destiny Books, that pendulum book, and they even show you how to make the pendulums out of a damn a penny and or a button, anything, you know, and the pendulums and stuff and all. So basically, that wasn't their incarnation to do that. They say also too, man, if you wasn't supposed to do what you're doing now, you would have did what you did in the 60s. You see what I'm saying? Or in the 50s. Well, mainly, you would have did it in the first part of the revolution in the 60s. They saved the best for last. That's why you doing it now. And some people are old enough to be in the 60s, but they didn't do nothing in the 60s, but they're doing stuff now. You see. But they saved the best for last. Most of the people in here is basically, you were teenagers in the 70s, or you were young adults in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? For most part, most of the people was that and all. Or either you were young in the 60s, and the people that came out of the 50s, you see, carried things like that. And so basically, they saved the best for last. But then on the incarnation, you got some old brothers that's doing stuff and older sisters. So they saved the best for last. What's that, brother?
What you think, like, as far as you got a lot of white people putting these metaphysical books out, you got a lot of them reading.
Mm-hmm.
You know, dealing with the way people perceive things. Do you think they perceive it the way you break it down? You think they perceive it the exact opposite way? As we the devil?
No, because see, they've had advanced, handed-down training. Although they're screwed up in the mind, and they can perceive things all messed up, but the thing that they have is the Spirit made sure that they was equipped to have advanced training that was handed down from the Moors and through the secret societies, so we could get somewhat decent material, if not all decent material, because there's a lot of garbage out there. So they perceive things, because you got to realize one thing about the white man. Never think that the beast is not clever. He's a smart motherfucker. I mean, he running our ass. He got us begging for some damn food stamps and shit. You know what I'm saying? And that was for a reason. They became the custodians and all, but mainly they get training. We bumping into this haphazardly, but that ought to let you know how superior we are. They got handed down training, and so that's how they perceive things. They perceive things and all just by being wide open. They get training through comic books, through computer games, and through different things and all, you know. When they go to Europe and all, they don't necessarily mean they're going to Europe to see some damn, get on some train and go through the courtside. That's what the damn Jeffro Bodine cracker do. But the ones who, of any wealth or any type of substance, they go to Europe and they go to different places and all to pick up the information and all. You know, yeah.
What I'm saying is the ones that's not so much writing the material, the ones that's reading the material.
Yeah.
Are they perceiving their stuff as the devil?
Well, you know what? It's the funny thing about them. Your boy, they perceive themselves as the devil, because one night Khaled was on a radio show in Greenville, South Carolina. Now, you don't get no deep south in South Carolina. And this cracker called in, a cracker called in and say, you know what? You're right. The white man is the devil. Because why is it the white man is in every damn country in the world messing with people? That's what the cracker said. Now, look. The other week, in July, I was on the radio. And it's funny, I got on the radio and I broke the news about the concentration camps and the black people and the melanin thing. And 2 weeks later, they started this campaign with this whole thing about the dope thing in L.A. to throw people off. Because it's interesting because, see, now this WRFG is a 100,000 watts. But Juju said, he said they beam that shit up to Washington, D.C. and they catch after TV show on Friday night just to see who's going to come on there. Because they got this show. See, Atlanta got a radio station unlike none in the country. You can go on the radio station and you can talk about the devil. You can talk about white man ain't nothing. You can talk about the white man with no repercussions. It's called Radio Free Georgia. And you can go on there and you can talk about the white man like a dog. You see. So I was on the radio that night and this white man called in. Now he said, my father was a prejudiced man. And all this, he said, but I didn't know nothing about this doggone concentration camp and all. Now, Jabril Muhammad, he said he sat down with this cracker and this white boy bear witness that the white man was the devil. So a lot of them know, but then again, you got to realize one thing about them, though. That's one thing. They can know, but they're crazy. They're sociopaths. So they say that you can't fathom the depth of his mind. He can know. You know damn well this man, if this man can build all the stuff that he can build, this man can build all the stuff he can build and do what he can do like he want to. And you don't think that man has an inkling? But it's not a matter, and we can't figure it out. Because the first thing black people get on TV and the first thing black people say is the reason why, we just this dumb. We think the reason why the white man is racist is because he's ignorant of us. An ignorant cracker ain't never had the power to do nothing. Hell, you are fucked up based on some diabolical cracker that was a brilliant genius. You see what I'm saying? So, but the point is this, and the reason why we figure we can't figure it out, we figure it's got to be ignorant, is we can't figure out that this man is a psychopath, a sociopath, and a deranged person, whereas he can know that he's the devil, recognize it 1 hour, and in the next hour, he can say, I don't see what black people tripping on. Why are you angry? What's the problem? You got a chip on your shoulder. There's no racism in America. There's no racism in America. And we are still to this day battling over this because we refuse to accept the fact that this baby is crazy. So yes, he can feel that. And no, because we dealing with somebody. The Spirit told me when the sister first, when my girl first went on the mounds and got opened up, they said, if you could put the white man mind in your brain right now and really see how he thinks, you probably have a goddamn heart attack. You couldn't think it. It feels it's normal to him, but there's a difference. They said it's a difference in the way you think and all, you know. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference in the way they think. They are crazy psychological people. You know, so you're right and all. So, you. I got left part of my brain. I don't think like that. No. Never think like that. What? Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, they're not even left brain because the left brain person can analyze, but this person can analyze and can go out there and sleep with a cow, a dog. Right. Go and get his ass whipped like they show that thing they got him with the dominatrix thing and they beating them white people. And pay $1,000 to get zipped up in a leather suit and somebody whip them with a bull whip. They could be in a $1,000 tuxedo, and a dog can run up and lick them in the face. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, kiss the husband and all. And then you know what? They could be, they can have $1 million damn house and a $100,000 car and be talking to you with goddamn hair in their mouth.
Yeah, and stinking.
With hair in their mouth. You see, this mug is he's crazy.
He's on a low vibratory.
So you know black people crazy based on conditioning.
Yeah.
But this was not only that. We are sane compared to him in our craziness. You see? What's that, sister?
Bob, what I want to ask you is when the end comes, is it going to be for everybody with melanin all over the world, or just...
Yeah, everybody. I mean, ain't no sense in coming back for a few Negroes here.
So it's going to be all
the original seed will be redeemed. The melanin means the Gnostic seed of the seed. It ain't got nothing to do with the way a person behaves. It's energy taking, what you call it. It's energy. We've been trained in moralism that the way a person behaves. It ain't got nothing to do with that. If gas, burn up gas, gonna do the same thing. I don't give a damn if it's in Ireland or wherever. It's the original seed. All the original race will be saved. You see what I'm saying?
So that would be like places, like on National Geographic, where they show places that that really you're not familiar with. Islands way off where the people are brown.
Mm-hmm.
They have metal and
in it, yeah, the original race. Yeah, the original, I mean, all over. You know what I'm saying? And Melanesia, Polynesia, Fiji, South America, I mean, all over the world. You see what I'm saying? And I believe, I'm going to tell you the truth, I believe they're going to get a lot of them damn Chicanos and Hispanics, because I swear I look at them and I say, man, prairie nigger is the word. You talking about Poe, and seem like can't nothing go right with them two, 400 deep in the back of a damn car. I say, y'all got to be redeemed. I'm telling you, man. Some of them got, they got a white element there. White Spanish that speak. Yeah, like that and all, which all races try to deal with that part. But some of them is La Bamba, something, Give me some more questions.
The women are tired of being peroxide blondes.
Mm-hmm.
To appeal to their men and to appeal to the white man, to be accepted. They're tired of that. This is why they're in hot pursuit of black brothers. The young girls like in school, they are in hot pursuit. They're giving the black sisters a run for the money. The dog.
Well, damn white women, the white women giving them a run for the money too. Because shit, they're in hot pursuit.
You know what? I don't even worry about a brother that turns that way, because he ain't a brother.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't a brother now. Because
but, he'll be crying when he see all melted on the damn sidewalk. Yeah. What's the question?
You said on that Tales from the Crypt thing, you said that.
Let me hear it.
On Tales from the Crypt, you said that thing was real. How does it eat?
Eat us. Yeah.
How is stuff going through its stomach?
Huh?
Is it going to fall straight through? How is it going to go in the stomach?
It can have a hole and stuff, but it can have a hole, but it can still have intestines.
Well, how is it going to live without no blood or nothing?
But if you got people that's rotted out. Yeah, I saw a guy in New York with his whole front face gone. He had a big hole in the middle of his head, and they had a false face in there. I said, man, call the doctor on that nigga, Dr. Kabarkian. Call the doctor. Call Dr. Kabarkian on that mug.
for stepping out. What they do, they've been killing their own clinic. Then people say, I want to die, give me a needle. You know, the doctors do it. Now, because he wants to make a big business out of it, go public, they mad at him.
But you have Sherman, you know. We don't talk much about that, but the Shermans who actually, like, people want to die. They'll go to the people, and you can go to that person with a candle and actually talk to that person and tell that person, if you want to die, it's nothing to fear. You know what I mean? Just go on into the dimension. And they've been doing that for years. Even in Wicca, you know, they've been doing it.
But they're making a business. Doctors
They want to
make a business. And doctors, unfortunately, is getting paid big
Well,
money.
because you want it on your blue card.
And they just mad because they ain't capitalized on it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.